That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit. Well, hello, everybody. Good evening. Good Tuesday evening. Thank you for coming over to the Ballshit Network for another Off-Topic Tuesday. I see quite a few people in the house. I'm going to start from the top of the chat. Hey, what's up, Quirky? Thank you for being what looks like the first one in that you logged in at 2:52 p.m. to write that. Genomic, good to see you. Michael, thank you very much for coming by. Will, I hope you're enjoying Kentucky. Sponsor Shane Kelly, first one to use in the house tonight. Thank you very much. He's the first sponsor. He ain't the first. Whether he's the first or the last, he's always going to put that, you know, hand the fingers up with that I was the first. So, yeah. But then I wrote I'm the real first, right? Because I set this whole thing up, and then Corbin was actually just outside my door. He and I just got done working on the CNC machine not 5 minutes before I came over to say hi to Sean for the pre-show, which you can only listen to on the audio only versions of the Bullshit podcast, which I have uploaded 3 more major groundbreaking episodes to the online thing. Strange, what's up? Good to see you, Josh. Amanda, thanks for coming here and hanging out with us. Who the hell else is here that I missed? Bravo Zulu, who we can mention is going to be next Tuesday's new sponsor of Off Topic Tuesday and new sponsor of the Bullshit podcast, along with this list of great, amazing people that I'm still going to get to, of which we got Sydney on here. We got Lee on here. We got, this is the other guys I was talking about. Mad River. Okay, Mad River's in the house. He's another sponsor. The Savages is their sponsors and all that stuff. So, yeah. And I think I actually covered everybody in the chat, too. All 5 of you. Even though there's 22 people here, so it's already logged in. Phil Schneider, Aaron. Hey, Aaron, I'm going to tell him right now. Everybody needs to hit the subscribe button, hit the fucking like button, hit the notification bell and all that stuff so that we can continue to do these things. Smash it all. Hit smash the like, smash the notification bell, smash them all. Aaron says smash that. And otherwise, don't make me make t-shirts and send one to this guy to dance around like a fucking Oompa Loompa in the fucking t-shirt on Instagram, because this dude will get me noticed more than you guys would like. And then, oh my God, Danny Chapetta. I've known this guy since I was a teenager. This guy is known all around the world. If you are into cats, I'm not into cats, Danny. I never was into cats. Although if I was into cats and I was into like really badass cats that cost a lot more money than I'd ever spend on a fucking cat. I mean, let's face it, a lot more money than I'd ever spend on any pussy of any kind. Never mind cats. Maine Coons. This guy is known from all over the world for his Maine Coons from back in like the 80s and the 90s. And he used to show Maine Coons. He's got his own strain of these cats. People in Russia have ordered these cats from him. So yeah, somewhere around the world there are people that yeah. So Dave Kendrick says, love hearing the history, backstories. Thanks for sharing the history. Hey, dude, that's why I came back, because the history wasn't in podcasting. It happened to be in all the guys like Casey Lazick that won't do podcasts that tell me, yeah, you know, Chris has asked me to do it a whole bunch. And if I did your show before I did Chris's show, then, you know, Chris would be mad at me. And I had to be like, Casey, I had to ask you like before Chris even had a podcast. I asked you to do my podcast. I was like, okay, that's one. Second of all, I met you when I was 17. Third of all, you're Casey fucking Lazick. If you die, no one will have ever heard you, and everything you've ever written is out of print. These awesome books that I have to my left, You can't buy them anymore. You can't fucking get them anymore. So, you know, like guys like Casey have to do podcasts. So please, I'm not saying write Casey Lazick a bunch of hate mail and get him to do bullshit. Write Casey a bunch of mail, not hate mail, but mail. Write him a bunch. Like, fucking, I don't care if you write him 2. Just don't mention that I mentioned it. Just don't mention that I was my idea that you guys bombard his inboxes with requests for him to do a podcast. Not this podcast, because then he'll know I did this. But he's not going to listen to this. Not even in the beginning of this. He's not going to listen to this. So it'll be our secret. Just hit the guy up and tell him to do a podcast. Hopefully he'll do Chris's podcast first, and then I'll realize all the shit that they didn't get to talk about that mattered, and I'll bring it up on my show. And we can just do it twice in case he can be heard. Because guys like that need to be heard. I think you guys agree that they're, yes, that new hobbyists that just started raising ball pythons 2 years ago during COVID-free money era that think they know enough to have spent their retirement on fucking ball pythons and actually make it back. Yeah, no, I want to talk to guys that really have been around the block. And a guy like Casey Lazick, dude, he was building houses with snake money before I was even able to drive a car. So I think I'd love to hear from a guy like him. So yeah, you guys need to hit up guys like Casey on Instagram and tell him that he needs to be heard. And as well as Reptiles to You, we'll talk about this. I'm sure my guest in the waiting room there is super happy to hear about the official shipper of the Ballshit podcast and of Exotics by Nature is very much Debbie Price and the crew at Reptiles to You. Of the crew, I don't really know who the crew exactly is other than the owners that actually run the joint and do all of your bidding for you. So I don't exactly know. You're not going to be doing anything with like some fucking, you know, college intern, right? Like you'd probably get, if you called US ARC, you'd probably end up with like an intern or something like that answering your questions. Or maybe not. Maybe you end up with Phil Goss answer your questions if you call up US ARC just on the US ARC hotline. But to be honest, when you call Reptiles to You, you get a fucking owner. You get Debbie herself. And if you go on Reptiles to You and you fill out a account and you have a great day of orders, which in this economy on Morph Market, I'm not so sure you'll have a great day of orders. I don't know what a great day of orders is. More than one is a great day of orders. I have had barely one in quite a while. So it's been very slow online, guys. But if you do end up with a great day where you'd like to save good on shipping, go on Reptiles to You and type in the ball, BALL 0922, and get an additional 20% off of that entire day's shipments. Not just the one shipment, but that entire shipment of that day. And look, here's a good FedEx service alert. Check before you ship. Hurricane Ian is a real thing in Florida, right? So I want to take this moment to do a shout out right now to all of our friends in Florida, including the Bauds who, hey guys, you know, keeps it freezing. Think on my end, I'll catch this later. Yeah, and honestly, it keeps freezing. I bet it does because you guys are about to get hit by a storm. So Bauds, be safe. Be safe. And I saw you guys packing up your reptile collection to like evacuate. I don't know that I would do that, but I don't really know where you live or how strong your roof is. But Jeremy's a contractor, so he ought to have a plenty strong fucking roof. So Jeannie, if you lose anything in the process of this, be sure to kick Jeremy in his ass because he could have built you a stronger house. But no, really, coming from another hurricane person here, I'm right there with you. You know, I just named my new business Hurricane Custom for Christ's sake. So I completely understand and you know, look, there you go. Lee says we just sent out 9 chameleons yesterday through Reptiles to You, and Debbie is always on her game, and he's absolutely right. I couldn't have done this stuff without Debbie, but for those out there in Hurricane Ian's path, our hopes and prayers are with you. And if you're not using Reptiles to You, we still care about you and we don't want you to lose anything. So I hope you do well. Morph Market, man, Morph Market, all this genetic testing. I've seen a lot of people talking about genetic testing, whether or not it will primp up the market or hurt the market. It'll be an interesting show to check out. I think Chris Eaton is interviewing next. I saw on his list of people, the 2 guys that are behind the genetic testing that's going to be on Morph Market soon. But if you're not on Morph Market, you should be, and you definitely should have your inventory on there. And I hope Sean has a HERPshop account and has a HERPshop inventory on there because I always did really well with my reptile shops inventory on kingsnake.com back in the day. You know, having a good eclectic inventory like that can really attract the right buyers sometimes. C-SERPENTS is like his motherfucker needed any more business. I'm pretty sure he drove an empty trailer back home from Texas, though, as he usually does, right? He usually drives an empty trailer home from every fucking show he does, even though he's got a 4 to 6 week lead time, which if you listen to his episode back on the old Ballshit, which you can listen to on Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else you can get a podcast, you can listen to when this guy had a 10-day guarantee. Yeah, he did that. He was fucking stupid. And you know what's funny? When he had a 10-day guarantee, he was building it by hand. Now he's using 3 CNC machines and he's got a 4 to 6 week lead time. So, you know, I guess he's still making animal plastics look bad. So keep doing what you're doing, C-SERPENTS. Keep rocking it with rack systems and incubators and all that great stuff. Hit up my boy Chris. Me, Exotics by Nature on Morph Market. Go down and see grossly overpriced ball pythons that aren't worth it and 131 corn snakes that I need to sell. So, yeah, go check out some shit on Exotics by Nature and support your boy and actually get something for the support since I'm not paywalling any of this content. USARC, if you're not a member, you fucking suck. We're trying to do the best we can for these people by raising the most we can for these people. And look, I am literally tonight bringing a special something that's in my hand that I'm holding above my head. It's very small because I can hold it above my head. I'm pretty strong, but not that strong. But it's the little thing to go in Phil's secret thing that we can't talk about because it's a secret thing that we need you guys to participate in for Phil Goss, for USARC, for the Tinley Park show, before the Tinley Park show. If you'd like more information, message Mike Stefani of Mike's Monitors. You can find Mike on every fucking social media platform that an old guy like Mike can fill out the application to sign up for. Because that dude is every fucking where. You can't miss Mike Stefani from Michael Stefani on Facebook. Can't miss it, Mike's Monitors. And get with him because we're doing a special thing for Phil, for Tinley, a special gift to reach out to our boy that has done so much for us these past many years now, right? It's been many years that Phil's been the head of USARC. Run through the sponsors. Infinite Possible Pythons. Nathan, thank you for supporting the Ballshit podcast. John Woodruff, I don't have to tell you. Thanks for supporting them and Ohio Breeders. Not only did he get away with making this fucking incredibly gaudy t-shirt, look, I'll go through it again. Look, like he made it one with a proud sponsor with the old classic Ballshit album art on it. This dude is an overachiever when it comes to representing people and brands. Now he's going to make a t-shirt with every Ohio breeder on it. So go hit up my boy, our sponsor, John Woodruff, Mad River, Serpents and Rattery, to get your name and your high resolution of image of your logo on the all Ohio Breeders t-shirt that he's doing. I thought it was a cool idea. Whatever. I like what John does. John thinks outside the box. Reptile Collective. He had a cute video of a sand boa squirting out some babies this week. That was the biggest thing I noticed from Steve Beamer, other than the fact that he's still an awesome motherfucker for supporting me. Savages is there they are and sharing today's episode, or did it just because I tagged you guys in it and you felt obligated to do it? Regardless, thank you for your help and your support on this here Off Topic Tuesday episode. Shane Kelly, always the man with the plan. He manages to get us one of my USARC signs without even going through me. I didn't even there was literally one USARC sign in circulating in the world without a claimed owner, and Shane Kelly ended up with it. And you're going to see it painted in this awesome red, black, and white. I mean, it really looks good. But I'm not showing it yet, and neither is he, because I don't want him with these 16.1 thousand followers right here. I don't want this loudmouth motherfucker getting people like knocking on my door yet, because I can't paint these things, guys. I'm having a real hard time getting like a massive painting method down to do it cheap. Signs I can paint. I can do your signs all day long, but you pay me for it. I'm trying to do this with a lot of money for charity involved, trying to get it down cheap. Finally, Strange Creations, since I'm not going to feature Bravo Zulu this week just yet. Strange Creations, our final sponsor of the Ballshit podcast. Thanks a lot, Josh Strange. You're always sharing our shit. always doing everything you can to get me and other podcasters like Chris Eaton more follows and more likes and loves and stuff. And I really appreciate you, dude. And now for the man of the hour or 2 hours, Mr. Sean Gray. How are you, bro? I'll remove
What's up, brother?
How are you?
How you doing?
Looking cozy tonight. This is what Texans look like when they live too close to Louisiana. This is what they look like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, look, I'm sure you've done many of these things by now, right? I just realized I didn't even turn my fancy lights on. I say they're fancy. They're going to take me a minute to even get on because they were like the cheapest ones on Amazon. You know. But yeah, tell me this, man. Let's start the reptile hobby off right. And when did you start? Like, even if it's not when you caught your first anole, because I did that and I didn't have reptiles since I was much older.
I actually bred green anoles. That was my first breeding project.
First breeding project was
when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
You were a fucking nerd. Good.
Yeah.
Good topic.
Built a huge outdoor enclosure around a tree in my grandfather's yard and caught anoles, and then every year I would release the adults and raise up the babies and just kept them going. But I was out in stock ponds catching turtles and lizards and frogs and shit when I was little. So, but when I first actually got between Liberty Dayton area, the rice fields of Devers, that's pretty much almost Western Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
So always Texas?
Southeast Texas, like east of Houston.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you know what? Limey's in the house. Didn't even see Limey pop in. Hey, Limey, how you doing tonight? And Quirky said 12 watching, or 24 watching, and only 12 likes. Now there's 27 watching, and there's probably 10 likes because 2 of them probably took them away. They're probably like, wait a minute, I hit that? Let me go and hit that.
Guy, right?
Yeah. Small Town Exotics, who made your logo? Not Blake Stewart, because that logo is a little too complex for Blake Stewart's style. Oh man, these guys in this chat, they can carry on amongst themselves, man. You know that? Yeah. But we'll give Ball Python Project the final hello. So, okay, born and raised in Texas, pretty much East Louisiana. So you're used to the armpit of America, the hot and sweaty Herp Bowl that is our home. Did you never live anywhere outside of there?
Nope. Been in Texas all my life. Nope. Okay. No. Thought about a few other places, but yeah, like Colorado was beautiful, but fuck that shit. I can't be that cold. I'll die.
Well, yeah, and then it's the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? Like, we thought about moving for a time when we were making a lot of money. When we were making a lot of money, I thought about moving to like northern Arizona, like Sedona, Flagstaff, until I actually messaged somebody out there. I messaged a power company and a veterinarian and asked them, power company for an outage report and a veterinarian for a recommendation. The veterinarian said, reptiles? Yeah, not here. Not here.
Yep.
He's like, first of all, I don't care how much money you have. When you move here, you cannot afford to live on grid. He's like, the rich people of America have made it a point that the on-grid living in Sedona and Flagstaff is for them and them only. And you cannot afford to come in here and move on grid, which means you're going to be off grid, which means you're going to have to basically supply your own self with everything you need all the time, which means you're starting off by dynamiting your way to water. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's all right. I live in Louisiana. We just dig our way to water with a shovel. I'm not dynamiting my way to water. That's it. I mean, if I got to dynamite my way to water, I'm just going to go stick a stick in a crawfish hole and boom. And I've got a fucking pond, and that's it.
Yeah.
Done. Absolutely done. But yeah, so I mean, climactically, we have very similar reptile keeping experiences. How old are you now?
44. Got to think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's good.
Fucking creeping up there.
Yeah, it's getting there. I'll be 43 next month, so I'm not that far behind you. But what about exotic reptiles? I mean, aside from anoles and things like that,
I think
native stuff.
I think when I really started getting into that was probably end of the 90s, early 2000s, when I started actually trying to do it more of when I got back into it, because I had a family, went to school, moved away, all this shit, not all in that particular order, but life got in the way kind of thing, moved away from South Texas, moved to Dallas area, worked, went to school, did a bunch of stupid shit, and then we ended up starting a family and had to work and go from there. So when I got back into it, it was bearded dragons and a few chameleons, and then one of my twin daughters. My daughters are 19 now. They'll be 20 in December.
Let's go through to cheering real quick and say that you got twin girls, and they're 19.
And then my son's 23.
Son is 23, and he's the oldest, right? Yeah. And you have those three.
That's it. Yeah.
Those three, and that's it, right?
Bunch of dogs.
Lori doesn't have kids.
No.
Lori doesn't have kids.
No, they're all from my previous marriage.
Right. Well, no, I knew they weren't Lori's kids. I just couldn't recall.
Well, they might have
had older children or whatever.
They actually
they're Lori's.
They're Lori's kids, but not biologically.
You know what I mean.
So one of my daughters, we had a couple of tortoises and stuff, and we had bearded dragons, and one of my I think it was Haley, actually had some allowance money, and I can't remember. She must have been 4 or 5 years old. Wanted a leopard gecko, and then that started an entire chain of events. Lori fell in love with the geckos. I would come home from work and she'd be like, "Hey, I found this collection on Craigslist of leopard geckos 3 hours away. We're going to pick it up today." I'm like, "What the fuck?" So but
that turned into a thing for you though, right? I mean, which is ultimately what got you to go into shows and stuff was the leopard gecko.
Exactly. Yeah. We were doing a couple of things here and there, but we were attending shows. I was attending shows. Lori's still terrified of snakes. Well, not terrified now, but she was then. There was never a snake supposed to be allowed in our house. But again, my daughters worked on her pretty hard. I think their first snake was a little Pueblan from Don Shores. I think was Hannah's first snake. God, okay. I don't even have to tell you how far back that goes. But yeah, we started breeding leopard geckos and got into the genetics, and we started meeting people. And I met at that point Kelly Hammock from Hiss was in Fort Worth, and Brian Jett from Jet Exotics, and Jet was working on a bunch of the rainwater stuff, working on some stuff.
Yeah, I remember really when Kelly hooked up with Steve, and then they got. I mean, I remember Steve Hammock from his previous marriage, and before she was even involved, the previous wife, And then when she got involved, actually, I had a problem with them with some animals once, and we didn't have a good time, me and her.
Really?
We had a pretty good bout. And at which point I think she gave me my money back or something like that, or gave me partial refund and was more or less like a fuck off type of thing. And I was like, well, that's fine as long as I got mine, because back then, I was running a King Snake chat and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was like, dude, don't fuck me, because I'll run on there and fucking tell everybody how I did. But Kelly had gotten into leopard geckos, and he was never a leopard. He was always a colubrid guy back in the day, right? I mean, Steve Hammock was when he was Hiss, right? It was Hiss.
Yeah, Hiss.
Yeah. Herpological Institute for Scientific Study was the name of his company. Exactly. Right? Yeah. And
Kelly kind of took me under her wing. She kind of mentored me and got me off of the random genetic breedings onto working with pure genetics and line breeding and knowing who I was buying. So So I kind of shifted my entire focus to that. There was already a market for just everybody throwing mutts together and making pet grade stuff, and I wanted to go do some things that hadn't been done before, And so I think we were one of the first people that ever produced a super typhoon, which is basically a super snow eclipse rainwater. And I produced that from 2 triple hets, which was crazy as fucking sounds, 2 normal geckos that were triple het, and first egg out was I hit the odds. So
it's kind of funny to look at a couple of your cohorts back then of leopard geckos now. No, like, I mean, Steve's like fucking grown and
Steve
grown.
Sykes. Yeah, yeah. So, and I got a lot of my genetics. I bought some stuff from Steve and back when Jeff Galewood Jr., when
Oh yeah,
Junior was doing
JMG. Yeah, I want to have
JMG.
Junior on the show for sure. Junior
Yeah,
would be great on this show.
I worked really closely with him, and then Matt Barronett from Sosobek, which he's making a comeback. It looks like. So I was in Christy Hausman Ghoulish Geckos. That's another name I haven't said in a long time.
Celia made me buy a trio of those tangerine tornadoes from that fucker up in Canada. I paid Jesus Christ like $5,000 or $6,000 for 3.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. So
but I will be honest though, those tangerine tornadoes blew everything away that I ever saw.
Yeah,
like I will not lie, everything that I ever saw from Gourmet Rodent and any of that shit. Those things that Craig Stewart had, whatever was in those tangerine tornadoes, those things were fucking bomb. Those things were
and we did a lot of those cool projects where we eventually at the end of it we actually had a line named after us, the Night Glow Red Stripe. We worked on a bunch of really cool line breeding stuff, but we so the big thing with the Black Knight Leopard Gecko, that's 15 years of line breeding genetics. And we weren't like that though, but we would outcross every 3 to 4 years. We wouldn't keep the same bloodlines going. That just causes issues. Look at the, what's the one with the tumors now? I can't remember, the Lemon Frost. That's probably from years and years of genetic line breeding, and it's an absolute clusterfuck with that project. But we were producing.
That's the one that Steve paid all the money for that was falling apart. No, that's the one that falls
yeah,
apart
that,
when you get older.
Yeah, that
the
was
one that
pretty
he paid
bad.
all the money for in the auctions and shit from Gourmet Rodent, and Gourmet Rodent supposedly knew about the problem. They weren't saying shit to anybody about it.
Yeah, it's pretty much been proven. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we were producing some
guys. I mean, there you go. That's to show you that. And the owner of Gourmet Rodent's a friend of mine. I mean, I wouldn't mind having Mike on this show, but it doesn't mean it. I mean, I interviewed the old owner of Gourmet Rodent on my last podcast. I had Bill Brandt on the show on the old shows, and there's a company that sells every reptile at Petco, guys, and they managed to basically sell Steve some leopard geckos for like 25 fucking grand that were absolutely known to have had genetic problems. And that is just heinously wrong in so many ways.
Yeah.
It's so fucking wrong, but that's where it goes, Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be friends. You're still friends with people, even though they do shit.
What you don't see like in leopard geckos though anymore is like we were crossing in Afghanicus and Turkmenicus and fasciolatus, all these subspecies, into those genes, and
that none of the people care about at all, right? In the whole world, of the grand scheme of geckos, nobody really even gives a fuck about that. I'm sure there's a group of people that give a fuck about it, like the purists, like the Nick Muttons of geckos.
No, yeah, we kept a lot of pure lines, but we also used some to outcross to get new blood, and we were like trying to get rid of the Enigma syndrome and all that shit, and we were producing some really melanistic geckos from Afghanicus to some bold stripes and stuff. And it was cool. It was a lot of fun. At one point, we were producing 1,000 geckos a year, and this is a family-run business. Like me and Lori and the kids, basically. And like every once in a while we'd have friends come over and help us, but it was crazy. And we were both working full-time jobs and traveling.
Yeah, that was a messed up story, bro. That was a messed up story. Not only was it a messed up story, but it was messed up that they donated them to US Ark for him to buy them from too. So like he bought one of them from for like $10,000 or $15,000 from US Ark.
Yeah, it was 10 grand. It was at a Tinley auction, and I was actually a silent bidder.
Fuck. Yeah, that was a fucking. Oh, and dude, and here's the thing though, they didn't find out about that shit. They didn't find out about that shit until after Steve had already sold like hundreds of thousands of dollars of them around the world. Then it fucking came down on him, dude. I can't believe it. He just bought another building not long ago.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how he got. How he's doing well after all of that shit. But I mean, it might not be a bad idea to ask him, come on his podcast, talk about it. How do you make it back from a project blowing up on you like that?
It's fat tails. Fat tails. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fat tails.
He hit the fat tail market right
Japanese customers. Japanese customers because Jeff Galewood's broker went to prison. That's all. Because Daisuki went away. because
I know.
Daisuke's gone, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to wonder, hey, Steve, were you behind that, bro? You don't have to admit it, but we're all thinking it. We're all thinking it. Somewhere Daisuke's sitting in Japan thinking, Steve Sykes, oh, Steve Sykes. Oh, yeah, somewhere he's doing that, right? Like he's pissed off, Steve.
I know I miss Dai.
Oh yeah, Dai and I did so much business over the course of decades together, man. To see a guy like that go away is just really.
I'll tell you a really quick Dai story. We were at the Slidell show when he came, right? Yeah. And he walked up to a vendor and he said, "I want to buy everything on your table."
Oh yeah, that was Erica Mathern.
Yeah,
she called me on the phone and said, "There's this weird Asian guy came by my table and said, I want all." And I said, "Yeah." He said he wants all. And she's like, I think that's what he said. I want all. She's like, I couldn't quite. And I was like, well, you got to remember because the L's. Right. Yeah. It was Limey said it. Limey said it. It was always a good show. And Dai showed up. Yeah, absolutely. When the Daisuke showed up, if you were talking to someone at their table and this little Asian guy walked up and they just straight stopped paying attention to you and walked away from you while you were talking to them. Yeah. That was Daisuke that they were talking to because he was about to peel out the billfold with the money. But yeah, he bought every animal off of Erica's table. And she was like, she called me and she said, should I trust him? And I said, go ask Sean. And she went and asked you.
And I told her, I said, you don't have that shit packed up yet? Like, what?
Yeah, you just pack the shit up now. And she said, oh, he just told me to take it off the table.
Yeah. You know? Well, that trip, Dai had messaged me before to ask me, like 2 months before, to see if he could come in early. And I'm like, fuck yeah. I made a post. I was telling vendors, look, Dai's coming at like 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Be there. Well, I got him a tuna fishing trip book because he's a huge fisherman, you know. And so he goes out. He comes in Friday for setup with this cooler full of fresh.
Yeah, he brought me tuna too. He brought me tuna to the fish store the night before because I brought him to eat at the spot I brought you.
Place. Yeah,
I brought him to New Orleans Food and Spirits that night, and he called me from Venice, Louisiana. He brought me from Venice, Louisiana. He called me, and he said, hey, Sean. I said, yeah. He said, how far are you from Venice? I was like, how far am I from Venice? I was like, I know you're talking Venice, Louisiana, not Venice, Italy. He said, yeah, how far are you from Venice? I was like, too fucking far. Why? I caught some tuna. It's real good. Want to bring you fresh tuna. I said, well, put that shit on ice and bring it to me at the Reptile show tomorrow. It'll be just as good. I don't need a sashimi grade tuna, dude. I can just use a regular smoke grade tuna. It's fine. But he brought me a nice big, it was good too. But he brought me a nice big slab of tuna, and I took him out to eat, and we talked about the aquarium business and shit a pretty good bit. And that was the last time I saw that little fucker.
That's the last time I saw him too.
Popped. Yeah, until I heard that he got popped with, I guess him and Chun Ku got wrapped up together or something. I don't really know. I heard Chun was related because Chun was shipping for him. So
that's what happened. Russ,
that would, yeah.
Yeah, Russ had reached out to me, Gurley, and asked me to write a letter like recommendation and said that some stuff was mislabeled, basically. Some stuff that was being shipped back was mislabeled.
Right.
And they're throwing the book at him.
Yeah. But I mean, he did a lot of business, so that's going to be the ones they throw the book at.
First time I met him, he came up and cleared my table off of every snow leopard gecko that I had on my table at one of the NERBC shows. I mean, it was like $4,000 worth of gecko. Yeah. He came and cleared me out
before he got tightened up with Junior, and him. Junior was pretty much that. That was it for him, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I know it's really. I think it's put a effect on Junior's business too. So if anybody needs any leopard geckos, go hit up JMG Reptile. Great guy. Great shit.
Is he still doing leopard geckos?
Fuck yeah, he's still doing leopard geckos. Mark,
all I see is Jeff's hognose stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, Nick is doing all the hognose too, so you know that's pretty much what they're doing. But yeah, man, I mean that's a shame that Daisuke got popped, and you know it is what it is. You know.
But yeah, man, leopard geckos. That's what fucking got me started. That was it. And then I had 2 back surgeries, got fucked up, was working at Peterbilt building 18-wheelers and shit, and decided to start putting my money up and work stupid hours to try to start doing this because we were vending shows with people like you that just fucking sucked being there, you know? Just fucking sucked being there.
Yeah, I bet. And at the same point, like, that time when you started the HERPshow,
Mhm.
you really like you had a niche I think you could fill because you only had like the big national shows and then you have Repticon in
Mhm.
this area, in the area you're stomping, which happens to be my area, is the southeastern most area that you stomp.
Yeah.
Um, m- m- and I don't mind it. I don't mind it because if you weren't doing it, somebody else would be doing it.
Yeah.
So I don't really have like I'll always have the mentality of less shows is more, only because I have a soft spot in my heart for retailers.
Yeah.
Having been a retailer as a reptile store for 10 years, having been a retailer in the aquarium business for an additional 3 years, and you owning a retail operation now yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought if I ran a show circuit, I would feel awful doing it 3 and 4 times a year because I'd be doing a lot of damage to the local stores. Now, in the area that you have your shows, however, there are not a lot of local stores that really fall to supply your clientele. So
No,
I
you're
can
right.
see that as a
Yeah.
defense of that. I mean, even though it's not really anything I'm asking you to defend, right?
No, no, no,
I
no.
think Limey said it right where Sean says he said I've never met you, but everybody I know talks good things about your shows. I mean, listen, dude, I did his very first show ever in
Mhm.
Conroe, Texas, the flagship show, which was you and a partner, right? And who was that
Yeah, me and
partner?
Charlie.
You and
It was me and
Charlie.
Charlie. Yep.
Charlie, what was his last name?
Basket.
Charlie. Pat, yeah, Charlie Basket.
Yep.
And I remember talking to Charlie a pretty good bit back then, and he bowed out after the very first one or whatever, or
Yeah.
right, or the very first one or two. I think it was the
Yeah,
very first
he did the
one.
first one, and right before the Austin show, which was our second show ever, he wanted out. So
Yeah, and then I mean, also makes it easier for you to continue to do something in your own vision, not to have a partner there. And if you guys could split ways early on and not bad ways, not negatively, and I think that's great. But I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. I came to your very first show and I was very vocal about coming to your very first show on the old bullshit shows as well as on Facebook.
Yep.
And look, dude, I got I got contacted by a couple people that were like, "Listen, you shouldn't do this guy's show." And I was like, "Wait a minute. First of all, he's not even doing a show in Arlington or in Tinley, Texas, right? I don't have to tell you who I'm talking about."
It's all
And I
good.
was like, "Listen, bro, you got to chill out, okay? You got to chill out and realize that I used to do the show in Dallas, the fucking show in Dallas, right? I don't have to talk about the Nights in fucking Truck Lodge, wherever the fuck she would have these shows, right? Bonnie shows. And I'm not asking you to talk bad about Bonnie at all.
No.
But Bonnie did enough bad on her own with me and with vendors in the venues in that area to not want to drive 8-9 hours to only make $1,500. And when Brian and Bob put on the big NARBC show in Dallas, you came out having lived there pretty much, right? Like you were living
Yeah, I was living in Dallas.
in Dallas at the time, right? So
Yeah.
like could have easily have plucked the Metropolis as a fucking ripe fruit. I mean, dude, a ripe fucking fruit. Like you really could have just been like apple off the tree. I'm going to take a bite and take a bite and take a bite. And with your dedication in the earlier days of Herps, not that you're not dedicated now, but you were seriously fucking hitting the pavement hard in the early days.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, bro, that I never saw a little show like yours do the business that you did. I did a fucking Arlington show. What? The February before your very first Conroe show? When was your very first Conroe show? What month was it?
January 2015.
Okay, so it would have been the previous Arlington in September that I compared it to then.
Yeah.
I did almost as much business at your first Conroe, like, and I mean Conroe, Texas, guys, is Conroe, Texas is the wide open range plains compared to Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, how other cities are joined, how many other cities are joined, like they cut
Just
Irving,
Fort Worth.
touches
Fort Worth.
Irving, or right, like Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth, Irving, like you drive from in one in another, and then here I am at this tiny HERPshow in Conroe, which is a suburb of Houston, north of Houston by a pretty fucking good bit, right? Like 30 minutes.
About 45 minutes, yeah.
45 minutes north of Houston. And that's at fucking 90, not at Chicago 20 in traffic. You know, that's that 45 minutes is like fucking at 90 miles an hour, 45 minutes, 70 miles an hour, and only, 45 minutes. And I was shocked, bro. I was truly shocked. Now, we've also had some bad shows there too, right? I mean, because every show is going to have good shows and bad shows.
Yep.
But like at that time, why did you decide that you wanted to make a fucking reptile show of all things to just swing at?
Okay, so 2013, 2014, when I was vending these shows, I was still working full time, and I was packing up, and I was working nights and driving fucking wherever I was going to vend shows. I did whenever Malia was doing Lone Star, and I vended in ERBC, and I was vending some shows in Oklahoma by some people who fucking shouldn't be in the business.
I'm glad you said that, because I wasn't talking about Malia and Otis's
No,
show.
I know what show you're talking about.
I never did their show. Yeah, I never did their show. What is Bonnie's show called? Lone Star? Wasn't Bonnie?
No, it's
show called? What was it called?
Texas Reptile Expo.
Oh, Texas Reptile Expo. Yeah. That's it. But she uses the colors and all, so it seems all Lone Star.
Yeah. So I was doing Malia's show when she was in the Elks Lodge, and it was tiny, but and then I was doing Repticon shows. I was traveling. I was doing Pasadena, and I was doing.
And Pasadena was always a great show.
Pasadena was a great show.
And was probably one of Repticon's more cleaner, better events, because the Pasadena Fairgrounds is actually a fairly decent place. Like compared to the Louisiana place that they choose, it's way better.
So I did that show in Gonzales. I was traveling around. Baton Rouge, whatever it is.
Gonzales.
What got to me was that this was before anybody was really spending any money on social media marketing. There was a few people that were trying to do it, but everybody was doing email lists and, sending out mailers and, all this stuff and putting up flyers and trying to do a bunch of radio advertising at the time. But I seriously got to the point where, so I knew my vendors that are around me more than I knew who the promoter was. Some shows I never even saw a person come to me, unless they were coming to me to ask me for money. Not hi, bye, kiss my ass. How did you do? I hope you did well. Can we figure out how to help you? No. And it was the same thing over and over and over again, where it just was a beatdown to be at these shows. I love the hobby, but I hated doing the shows. And so, you know what? I was like, I'm going to just try something different. And I didn't have a pot to piss in when we fucking started the show. Like, so for that first show, we had 90 tables, and we had an attendance of about 2,500 people. And I know who was talking shit, because he said it to my face.
First Conroe show?
Yeah, the very first Conroe show.
The very first Conroe show, which, by the way, guys, my tables were in the back. I was in the back of the building. I was on the back wall.
You were on the left-hand side, towards the back where we were doing educational shit.
We were right next to the educational setup. And when I got there, I was like, you know what? This is a brand new show. It doesn't matter where he really put us. Here we are. This is where we're going to be. This is a really nice center. I really didn't feel good about driving into Conroe, though, dude. Like, getting off on fucking, like, Beaumont. And driving north through all these fucking towns where, like, my cell phone wouldn't work for 20 minutes at a time. Like, I mean, you might be okay with that in Texas, but being a paraplegic driver by myself going to a show, I wasn't necessarily okay with that at the time. And I didn't always have a helper riding with me. I had a lot of times a helper on the way or with me, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm thinking, man, it's fucking Conroe shit. How the fuck? And, King would always tell me, he's like, well, we're going north of Houston around all the shit. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but that means everybody else from Pasadena that's always seeing us has. And he was like, I don't think we're going to be seeing very many of those people. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. We'll be seeing a whole new group of not only Texans, but Houston Texans.
Yeah.
And even though we've only done Houston Texans shows outside of NARBC, and the Pasadena show was the only show outside of NARBC in Texas I've done in a long fucking time other than yours, you know?
Yeah.
And man, it's I don't know. That first Conroe show was fucking lit. I mean, we did like $6,000 or $7,000 off the tables, and I was fucking blown away by that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
and that was barely any budget. I mean, really, that was just,
yeah.
And so it grew. I mean, it fucking exploded. We did the Austin show, which is kind of shitty. Our first Austin show, location and weather and all this crazy shit. And then we did an October. I think we did an October Conroe show that same year, which was a little better. It wasn't the same as the January. And then we realized that for some reason that January show was just going to be something special. And it has been ever since. But I, after my second back surgery, decided to take all that money I had been saving up and working all the overtime and just to try to do the shows full time. And so we always have these people asking us, hey, come do a show here, come do a show here, come do a show here, come do a show here. Well, we were asked to go to Corpus Christi, Texas. And we know 7 or 8 people down there that are breeders and vendors. I mean, Carl Vargas, everybody knows Carl from South Tex Gex. He produces some of the most amazing gargoyles and leeches and breeds pectinata.
My
and
Lewis Eye hybrids I mentioned on my show with Mike Stefani and stuff. We were talking about the hybrid lizards and everything. Those actually came from Carl Vargas. So Carl, I've had many geckos from Carl as well.
Yeah, Carl's
a fabulous breeder.
Yeah, Carl's an amazing friend of ours, and so
the Corpus show worked out. I never ever did it, and I should have done it in the earlier days.
It did start out. Well, the first show we had 25 vendors, and we were in 50,000 square foot. We had to like put pipe and drape and shit around us. We had 2 ball python vendors at that show.
Oh,
2.
Man. 2.
And they sold out. And I think at that point, Andy had like 6 tables. We had we had bounce houses and fucking games and shit like set up on the side just to take up room and stuff.
Occupy space, right?
Yeah. And now we're sold out 2 years in advance for that show. It's massive. But we did get into the part where Conroe kind of demanded to have a third show there every year. We literally got so bombarded by people that wanted that show more often, so we had to find a good balance. Now, COVID money changed that show to where it needed more vendors. It wasn't more vendors. It was, we had vendors that were growing so fast that they needed more space and they needed more tables. And so we have to rent the entire venue. So we're like, fuck it. We'll just add a second room and we'll tell people, look, you're either on a waiting list or you can go in this side room. We'll do everything in our power to direct people to you. We'll open up the doors. We'll put flyers up. We'll give you layouts with maps. We'll put arrows and flashing lights and all this shit. But we had vendors that have been with us from the beginning that were going to basically be kicked out of the show because vendors ahead of them wanted to add more space. And so where do you balance it, right? Well, the COVID money
I don't envy you or Lori at all. The political balance you have to play. Yeah. I actually like my position in it because I'm in an end cap and I like to be in an end cap and I like to tell you guys, hey guys, I'm in an end cap.
I'm in an end cap.
And you could just know that there's a lot of people in here you can put me behind. There's probably only a couple people you can't. You know what I mean? And then otherwise, I'm like doing this show and this show and this show, and that's really it. I'm really not that big of a problem. But when you got these people that are doing multiples, because you've got quite a few vendors that do multiples of your shows, right? I mean,
we have a lot of vendors that do almost every single show with us. They'll travel where they were following us to Colorado.
Fucking crazy. That's fucking wild, and a testament to exactly why Limey can say people like Lisa and Debbie, and we have mutual friends. Well, Limey, we all know the people that know Limey. Yeah, we all know you. We all know them. you know,
Well,
and the thing is they are extremely loyal to Sean and his shows. Like, I mean, I think there's more Limey fans and family, hard hitting family that are coming down here for your shows. I'm kind of wondering why the fuck Limey's not, but that's okay. We won't put too much pressure on him.
I think Lisa's been pressuring. Lisa came and stayed with us for a week between Conroe and New Orleans, so she talks Limey up all the time. So one of these days I'm gonna fucking meet Limey and we're gonna hang out.
Limey, come on, man! New Orleans show, come down. Come hang out. You don't have to do my podcast at all. I won't record you at all. We will just have a good not at all. Not one bit. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, he's a peaky fucking blinder, bro. Slash my fucking throat. I'm scared. I'm scared. I've already been told that I'm not to record him, not even in the slightest. So but yeah, man.
We do play a political game, though. Like you said, we can't make everybody happy, but we really try to. And the difference with us is
I remember Wayne telling me that, man, from old Wayne Hill, right?
Can't make everybody happy.
Well, Sean, you got to understand with my vendors and the way y'all work, I can't put this guy next to this guy. I can't put him over there by her because, or him over there by him because unbeknownst to you, the woman that he is with, Sean, used to be that man's wife. And now she's that man's wife. Now I can't put them two reptile and he would go on and on and on about the fucking drama that he would have to, and he would be like, and you don't even have to tell me about the drama in this industry because I know all of it because everybody's written it in the note section on their little applications to do the show. Fucking Wayne Hill.
Oh no, we get it. Like Lori has a spreadsheet that specifically says this person can't be by this person, and this. I mean, we try to respect it, but again, with growth, there's pains, So we had people growing, but we didn't want to alienate people who had been supporting us from the beginning. So we added the second room, and then the first time we added the second room was the fucking January show of this year last year was the Trump rally shit. With this year.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got dialed out of the center on Saturday, right?
Well,
You got totally fucked out of your Saturday.
Yep, we did. And there was nothing else we could do. Luckily, they let us do Friday setup. We did a Sunday one-day show, and it was fucking insane. Like, absolutely fucking insane. There were so many people there. But
Quirky says the Wayne impression. I don't even know who he is, but it's funny. Quirky, call up Wayne Hill to get a table for the next Daytona show.
Oh, Limey said we'd all go.
Fucking laugh your ass.
Limey said we'd all go to jail, but
we would all go to jail. No, Limey, I promise you, we would not all go to jail because if this Herps crew has not gone to jail on their New Orleans run, this motherfucker right here, I'm gonna point the right way. This motherfucker right here has done worked out the politics with the royalty of Bourbon Street. Like he's in with the motherfuckers that run Bourbon Street. So Limey, if you ever wanted to see New Orleans, this is your guy right here.
We got friends in low places around Limey.
We definitely have friends in low places.
And
friends
some high
that
places.
I've never had here either. Yeah, Raven said I'll be going to New Orleans show as well. Yeah, we'll be dragging them down here for sure. And we definitely would get in some trouble, but not I don't think jail.
Nah.
I don't think jail. Limey, they've decriminalized most of what we do wrong in most of the city of New Orleans.
Pretty much.
But yeah, man, I mean, so like if you look back on the show run though, that had to be a really intimidating thing to run down. I mean, like I tried to do, like I think I told you, I did one with my previous boss once, and it was literally like 20 tables in an afternoon, and I'll never ever do that again. But
the only reason that
we did great, but fuck, I'll never do it again.
Well, the only reason that we're able to keep this together is because of Lori. I mean, she keeps everything organized.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Oh, God, she's a fucking machine. She's amazing.
I joked on this podcast about 3 weeks ago, and I said that Mr. Lori Gibson was coming on off Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man.
And it's funny,
like, shit, maybe Sean might not do the show now that I call him Mr.
Oh, fuck
Lori
yeah,
Gibson.
I know. The very first Conroe show, literally, I think a week before we were supposed to leave for that show, she finally realized that it was actually happening. She had nothing to do with it. She was like, she was doing her own thing. She was working,
we're actually doing this thing.
She's like, oh, this is actually, you're actually going to be doing this. I'm like, yeah, we're going to go fucking do this. And it's either going to fucking fail miserably or
My
or it's
pet
gonna
shop
work.
was called Exotics by Nature, but the pet shop before me was called Wild Cargo that I had before that, if that's what you mean by cargo. It was Wild Cargo, named after Wild Cargo TV show from who was that guy? That was the Nautilus gym equipment guy. It was a big snake guy. He was Arthur Jones. Arthur Jones was his name, and he would have been like Tom Crutchfield's inspiration, right? Like if Tom Crutchfield could say, like, who did Tom Crutchfield watch on TV or read in magazines or books or whatever? He would have said he read the stories of Arthur Jones. Yeah. Who ultimately, ironically, and if none of you reptile fuckers knew this, you tuned into Reptile History 101 at Ballsh to learn it. Nautilus gym equipment was started by Arthur Jones, Mr. Reptile Extraordinaire. All Nautilus gym equipment was originally started by him. He owned the company in its original day. And, he was a bodybuilder through many of his years. And, yeah, a lot of those guys knew him from that, too, Crutchfield and them. Because if you look at old pictures of Tommy Crutchfield when he was a younger guy, man, he used to fucking pump some iron and shit.
He did, yeah.
If you look at that motherfucker, he was swole the fuck. And ironically, Arthur Jones did all that shit with Nautilus gym equipment. A lot of reptile guys got into fucking working out over Arthur Jones. But yeah, like Reptile and Amphibian magazine, like that was one of the greatest magazines back in the day. Remember that thing, Sean? Remember that?
Which one?
The Reptile and Amphibian, the little one. This one, the Reader's Digest size. Oh, look, I picked a green one, so I got a green screen cover. Look at this awesome Veil Chameleon cover. It changes with the background. It's a new holographic cover. But yeah, this little magazine was probably the dopest magazine of its time with some of the most informative shit in it. And they had a whole article on Arthur Jones one day. I was reading it in the pet shop. I was a teenager. I was flipping through this magazine, and there's a whole article with these black and white pictures of this man holding like free handling, like fully grown Eastern Diamondback rattlesnakes in the 50s and the 60s in black and white photos. And there was an old man standing in my shop with his grandson. I say he an old man. He wasn't an old man back then. He was like 60. He was standing there with his grandson. And he said, I used to work for him. And I was like, really? And I said, Arthur Jones actually used to have a place in Slidell, of all places, right? Where your reptile show is. He had a operation in Slidell, and they used to film the Wild Cargo TV show here. So yeah, the pet shop I worked for was Wild Cargo. But yeah, that was crazy, man. That old man said, that's me in that photo, and pointed to a young guy in the photo next to Arthur Jones, and that was him.
That's
and
crazy.
Sure enough, that motherfucker came in my fish store 2 years ago. 96 years old, man.
No shit.
And I looked at him, and he said, I used to have an interesting job when I was younger. And I was like, and I looked at him and I said, I bet you used to take pictures in the Amazon for, what was it? Wild Discovery before it was National Geographic or whatever. And he said, we've met before. And I was like, yeah, we met 30 years ago when I opened my reptile shop, and the dude had brought me, a price list in Portuguese from Brazil, from the 1960s, where it had all the primates and all the snakes and shit for sale. And it had anacondas for sale by the foot and shit. Like all that stuff was on there, but it's all sold by the foot. It's definitely it.
It's a green dick, Limey.
It's a green dick. The shadow of it is a black shadow of a dick. It's a green dick.
The green dick. Everything's green in my life, man. Green and purple, right?
Yeah, green and purple, which, your signs need to be on the way since you want to paint them yourself. I'm really struggling with painting signs.
I want to paint one.
Oh, yeah. You're going to paint one. You're going to paint one. I'm going to send you quite a few. I'm going to send you several unpainted ones so you can sell them in the shop and remit your dollars to US Art.
Art. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, really, dude, the show thing, like, you were brave, and when you guys said we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna keep doing it, and then you started expanding it to cities.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the Harbor Center to you here in Slidell, Louisiana, right? I know
Yep.
Tim Bailey mentioned it to you very much as well. Now,
Yep.
you know, of course, Tim was always going to say the same thing. I asked him whenever he started doing that, I asked him to do it once a year. And I'm like, dude, nobody's going to do it once a year. Like, there's no money in once a year. Like, there's no money in once a year anywhere. You'd have to do a show in every state in a union to make it work, to do it once a year. And then even, it would never be a well-oiled machine. It would be a fucking mess once a year, every fucking year. It'd be Daytona every year. You know, it'd be 9:15. Motherfuckers would be like, I only have 45 more minutes to set up. Why is nobody here to open the door yet? What the fuck's going on? What the fuck? And all the other guys like me are sitting back and we're all cool. And we're like, this is the Wayne Hill show, bro. You should have got your setup done on Friday because you're only going to have 31 and a half minutes left on Saturday to do it. You know, and that was before they had 2 rooms. I heard this year it worked out that way. And somebody came and they said to me, they were like, oh, dude, you wouldn't believe it. He didn't open up the second room until like 20 minutes after 9, and everybody was fucking freaking out.
That's what Debbie said. They didn't open it up. They wanted everybody to go through the other side first.
And then they closed it early. You heard about that?
Yeah.
They closed it early. They ran people out of it early. I'm like, what the fuck? That's a Wayne Hill show. Once a year, bitch. Once a year. Practiced. Well-oiled once a year machine. You know,
if we did a show once a year and somewhere, all we would do was bombarded with people. Hey, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? And we were, to be honest, we were reluctant to even try Slidell because of how close it was to New Orleans show, which we'd already been doing since 2016 or 2017. It's a 45-minute drive, but it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world. We pull from different markets. And that Slidell show took off tremendously quick. Like the last one was.
Oh, but it's such a great show.
It's a great show.
Such a great location, bro. It's such a fucking fabulous interstate location. It's ridiculous.
And the
you got New Orleans, you got Gulfport, you got Baton Rouge, you got all the people from outside of there that won't go to New Orleans just because it's called New Orleans, even though it's nowhere near New Orleans.
Exactly.
It's further from New Orleans than the Slidell show is, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like, in essence, it kind of is. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Main room was later, but he closed early, right? Yeah. So main room was open later and closed early or whatever. I don't know what the fuck ever. It doesn't much matter. It shouldn't have worked out that way. It doesn't much matter. I mean, the dude's been doing a show since 1989 yearly. Hasn't missed 1 year for Matt, you know, to be honest, has not missed once.
So what's the deal? Is he trying to sell the show?
So I heard he was trying to sell the show a while back, but I mean, dude, the person who was talking to me about buying the show was Mike from Gourmet, you know?
Yeah.
Mike was talking about buying it, but this was where we left. It was in 2019 because I told Mike, I was like, oh, bro, if you do that, I'd love to help you blow this thing up into something bigger if you think you can. But then he was like, fuck, we're moving it. Fuck that. Fuck Daytona. We're moving it. And when he started talking shit about moving it and like basically he told Wayne it wasn't worth nearly what Wayne wanted for it and all this shit. And honestly, there's no way it's worth what Wayne wants for it. There's just no way. I mean, if it was what it was in 2006 or 7, yeah, it'd be worth what Wayne wanted for it. But nah, dude, NRBC's done taking your fucking cake. And Rami's done a hell of a fucking job too.
Yeah,
right?
Rami's awesome.
Rami's fucking moving that show. I mean, that motherfuckers have grown. Like they have grown tremendously. Considering that I did an NARBC Anaheim and the very last Anaheim show maybe that they had, I sold nothing. I sold not a fucking thing. It was bad.
Do you think that was because you were going to a market that was already established by those other guys? And
I don't think they were going to a market that they never should have went to. I think they were should have stayed. I think if anything, they should have done one in Arizona or somewhere closer to Bob. Done a Phoenix show or something, try to blow it up, right? I mean, really, dude, why aren't we doing? I mean, I know you don't do a huge Atlanta show because there's a lot of illegality there. There's a lot of laws and shit there and everything, but like, you know, like I always considered, what if you moved to Daytona show outside of Florida? But I mean, a cunt hair outside of Florida, just a little bit outside of Florida. And, you know, maybe put it near an airport that motherfuckers can actually get to, you know? And I mean, because and now listen, when he moved it from Orlando to Daytona, he was going to put it in, he said he had 2 options. Well, 3 options. It was like Atlanta, and he didn't want the laws, and then New Orleans because he had family here, but also the laws in the city of New
The city,
Orleans.
New Orleans.
And then the third one was Jacksonville, and then he decided on Daytona. And I'm like, well, why not Jacksonville, dude? I mean, Jacksonville's at least got an airport. It's at least closer of a drive for everybody else in the country that's not from Florida. I mean, really, I'm right. I mean, because you're going to get to Jacksonville, unless you're from fucking Florida, you're going to get to Jacksonville before you're going to get to Daytona, regardless of how you're driving. You're going to be there an hour before. So, and it's a big city, right? Jacksonville's got a hell of a downtown, right? Because you got the whole, what is that? St. John River that goes through Jacksonville. Is that what it's called? What is that?
Florida.
Have you ever been to Jacksonville before? There's like a body of water that goes into the city where boats can dock in the middle of the city. And there's like a big, square area with shops and stuff like that. I don't know. It just seems to me like there's a lot more going on there. Daytona just doesn't. Daytona's airport is the biggest problem. Because if you fly into Daytona's airport, you have to fly into Atlanta and then lay over. Okay. So Savage says Jacksonville's awful, and I'll take it from them. They're from Florida. Jacksonville's awful. Fair enough. It's closer to me than fucking Daytona is, and it has an airport that I can fly directly into. So that's what I figure. They say Daytona is better by far. I definitely think hanging out in Daytona is beautiful by the beach and stuff. But dude, I mean, really, if you had to move that show, why would you put it there? Like, why would you move it away from Orlando? I don't know. It is what it is. It's a total sketchy shithole, and Daytona's not. Daytona has a fucking strip club down the street called Biggins that only pregnant bitches can work at. And you have to be second and third trimester to get a job there. Fuck that. Yeah, and he says Jacksonville's crack city too. Apparently, I don't know that much. Gotcha. So, yeah, but it is St. John River. I'm pretty sure I was right. I was right about that part. Get that part right. I've been there once. Wayne Hill had 2 shows there in 2000 and 2001. He had a show in Jacksonville on Easter fucking weekend and wondered why it didn't do well. It was Easter fucking weekend.
You know what's funny is 2 of our best shows that we did in Temple were on Easter fucking weekend.
Answer this, please.
Yeah.
Is there or has there ever been a show in Alexandria, Louisiana? Yeah, there's been a show in Alexandria, Louisiana. There's been a Repticon there. Yeah, Repticons.
Alexandria?
Was it Alexandria or Lafayette? Not Lafayette. Shreveport.
Well, they did Shreveport. We do the show in Longview. That's probably the closest one, honestly. Well, we're coming back to Lake Charles.
I'm sorry, as a fellow Louisianian, Ravens Exodities. Look what I just changed your name. I just Canova'd your name. You owe me $10,000. I just Canova'd your name. But yeah, Raven, sorry.
Alexandria is a little too far out there.
Alexandria is a place that is where, unfortunately, I'm not sure why people live there. I'm wondering that still. But yeah, definitely stay away from Shreve. Yeah. As most of anybody that has ever served in our military that has been stationed in Louisiana, most people think that Louisiana is lousy. Only Louisiana is lousy, where they put all you guys at Fort Polk too close to the shittiest part of the state of Louisiana. You were closer to Lake Charles and Beaumont and Houston for fun than you were anything else. And those places aren't really all that much fun. So what has been your favorite place to throw a show so
Corpus
far? Corpus?
Yeah.
Corpus has been your spot.
Well,
I figured that, Eileen. I figured Bravo Zulu, if anybody that had anything to say about ball pythons, at Bravo Zulu was probably stationed at that shit.
That's funny. No, funny. Corpus is fun. Corpus is a fun show because it's a great show. It's probably one of our lowest household medium income demographic wise. But people come there and buy fucking animals, and they have fun. And then, honestly,
that's the group of people that spend the most money at reptile shows. To be honest with you, I mean, we're not talking about an NARBC reptile show where you got people going to buy ball pythons, but a regular reptile show for sure.
Yeah, but the Saturday after the show, we do a big beach bonfire, and all the vendors and their kids are invited, and everybody comes down and hangs out at the beach, and it's just one of the most relaxing shows.
It
Super
seemed to
easy to
me
do.
that's what Daytona was back in the day, right? Was the beach hangout show where the weather was always nice. Well, not to, to me and you, the weather was always nice.
Yeah.
To the guys from Maryland, they're like, "Oh my god, it's so hot out here," you know. And you're
80
like, "What
degrees,
the
I'm gonna
fuck,
die.
dude?" Ralph Davis and Pete Call are like, "Oh, it's so fucking hot out here," you know. Yeah, come over to the Gulf Coast, bro, where we get the wind of the farts of the fucking Gulf is what we have to deal with. So yeah, it's so that's your favorite show because you're able to throw your own little beach soiree of sorts.
But it's a good show. The vendors do really well. The vendors do great, and it's just a fun show. The atmosphere is totally different than any other show. I mean, you've been to our shows, you know, we try to make everything fun, and we treat everybody
I like the
family.
family aspect of Herps.
Yeah.
I think Herps is definitely a family of people, unlike any other group of reptile people that I go to now. Like if I go to shows, if I'm a show whore, which I haven't been in years, right? But I know what I'm going to see when I go back. I know when I go to NARBC, I'm going to meet a bunch of bros that are all like, "What's up, bro? And what's up, bro? I'm doing so good. Yeah, you're doing so good. I'm doing so good. I'm so glad we're both doing so good. Yeah, yeah, yeah." You know what I mean? That's going to be like, let's go to big banners and like fancy shirts and let's give out some stickers, and that's NARBC. But like when I figure a group of people that is truly going out to dinner together, like the whole show of vendors together. And your show is a great example of what I've said has been the group of people that I truly believe have been just exhibited more integrity than most people. When I see 4 cage builders all at the same show and they go to dinner together and they all sit at the same end of the table to just hang out. And you're like, wait a minute, why is Robert Powers by Ross? I forget Ross's name, right?
It's long. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, right. So whatever his business name is too, I don't even remember that. Why? Wait a minute, they're friends. Yeah, they're friends. Like they've been selling. Like he sells PVC racks, and he sells PVC racks and cages, and he sells PVC racks and cages. Why are they all sitting? Because at NARBC, they don't do all the ball pythons guys do that, right? But not all the rack guys do that. You know what I mean? No. So you don't see Freedom Breeder and ARS just sitting down at the strip club together, motorboating tits together. You just don't see it. And I mean, in the grand scheme of Herps, I still don't see the motorboating because I don't go out with you guys in New Orleans. But I mean, I definitely see the camaraderie, right? Like I definitely see the joint effort, and it's even so much a joint effort that tell me about this Herps Family Fund real quick.
So we started the Herps Family Foundation. Whenever we were talking about it before the big freeze that hit Texas. And I still like it, all the COVID shit and everything that was going on. It's been something that we had to put on the back burner for a while. We're waiting on the 501c3. We have money set aside, but it's for Herps vendors and their family members that need help. Because we've always been the kind of people who, no matter what, we're going to try to help. Even if I don't have it, I'm going to try to help people. Build build a longer table kind of theory,
right?
When you're doing well,
right?
So we just try to take care of each other, and we've weeded through a bunch of people who don't get that mentality and who just could give a shit, and those people either we tell them to fucking leave or they find their way out their own selves. But it's not like you have to come do all this shit to be part of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just regardless of how big reptile shows and the reptile community and the hobby are, we're still kind of a niche thing, and so we have to look out for each other. And perfect example, most of you guys know who Kathy is at Repticon. She's going through cancer right now, and I haven't done a Repticon show in years. And there's still a couple people that I consider that are friends that work at Repticon, or have worked at Repticon. And so we tried to raise some money to help Kathy and signed a card for her because she's never done us wrong. I was a vendor for a long time. She's never done anything wrong to me. I don't see if you're a show promoter and you're in this for the right reason, I have no problem in trying to help support you. You know,
Yeah. And I
we
do hope that I mean, I don't think that the NARBC contention is there like it was when you very first came out with
Oh
your
no,
very first show.
I love those guys.
Like,
I talked to
because I
Brian.
think you and Potter and stuff get along really well. So I want to be sure that anybody listening this far into this, that you listened to that shit earlier, and you might be like, Brian's out to get this guy, and he's not out to get this guy, and he never was out to get you, but he was definitely out to get those of us who were helping you in the beginning. Like we were like that motherfucker might put a show in Dallas, and I'm like, bro, I've already asked him. Like I point blank said to him, are you going to put a show in Arlington, in Dallas, or the Metroplex at all? Period. At the FW Metroplex at all? And he said no. He has no interest in doing that because it's already a well-pounded pussy. And I was like, to be honest with you, he understands that you are at the helm with the biggest dick. So at this point, he's ready. He's willing to nod to you and just say that's the end of it. You know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't it feel good for the big motherfucker to be a little concerned? I mean, it does, right? You don't want to like do all this shit and them guys be like, I don't care. Fuck it. We're better.
Yeah.
We're bigger. We're all, but to them to show actual concern, I was like, listen, first of all, I'm flattered that you think he's going to cause you that much problems. I'm sure he's flattered too. I was like, second of all, he's not. And that's what's great about it is the guy seems to be a pretty straightforward guy. And dude, I'm telling you, that was what, 2015?
Yeah.
15, 16?
2015 is when we started.
2015. So the same year I started this podcast, essentially, I believe, 2015. And I think it's done pretty well. Like the track record to this point is pretty good. Like you've done pretty well. I've seen you ask shitty vendors to leave. I've seen you ask shitty customers to leave. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of good things. I've seen a lot of good things. I mean, I've seen some bad things that your hands were tied on too.
We've had some shit, but you go through shit. You just gotta overcome and fucking get on with it,
Yeah. I mean, I always liked the idea that you treated me like a vendor would treat a vendor and not how a show promoter had treated a vendor previously.
I was a vendor.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was a vendor longer than I was a show promoter,
Sure. And I think I hope that you contain that, right? Like you have retained that to this point.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm saying. So you don't get to say that. We get to say that. You don't get to say that. You don't get to tell us what kind of guy you think you are at this point, because you might have slipped a little bit. Because there's people people have been like, those Herps numbers have gone down, and I've seen that Sean and Lori have opened these other businesses, and I'm like, okay, good for you. I've seen the economy gone down too, and I'm pretty sure that Sean, who does still have like 3 Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure he'd rather they be worth 70 grand still and not worth fucking $19,000 too. I'm pretty sure that dude didn't go out and like, set out to fuck you over by opening his own businesses and stuff. But I mean, I know you've had a couple things to say. I'm not trying to like throw fire on gas, gas on fire here. But I definitely want to give you an opportunity to say a couple things about how things have been going. Because I've been watching it on charts, on financial charts and stuff. I don't need to fucking hear nothing. I've been watching my own personal finances crash. I don't need anybody to tell me that the world.
Everyone knows how it really is. And, I talked about this on another podcast last week about how, we were talking about reptonomics and what people see in the market, and the supply is way over the demand. So there were some issues this summer, obviously, with the economy. And, I opened my pet shop. Tomorrow will be 1 year.
Right.
I took some of that crypto money that I'd made, and instead of going and buying a Corvette, I'd open up a business. And, it was something that was needed in our area where I'm at. There wasn't anything like it, and it's done well. But again, like the shows are my bread and butter, and they'll always be my bread and butter. It's what I love to do. I love going to shows. I love being part of the community. I love the people that been with us, and I love just being myself around them and being stupid and having fun. That's what, when you come to a reptile show, if you're fucking sitting there on your phone and if you're fucking that miserable behind your table, don't fucking vend. Like, just don't fucking come there anymore. Like, if you go, like everybody's bitching about, well, Morph Market's not doing so hot either. Well, the fucking economy is in the shitter. So
Morph Market has come to an absolute fucking halt. I mean,
there was like 42,000 ball pythons or something like that. So
yeah, I'm not even talking about ball pythons. I don't even care.
No, I
about
know.
that
I'm just saying.
market.
I'm saying
I got
that
140 animals in other categories that are not moving at all. So it's definitely not. And I don't think it's Morph Market. I'm pretty sure John.
No.
You know what a lot of people are probably going to say there too, right? Oh, I see that John and Morph Market is now got.
Yeah, he's doing all this other shit. Yeah,
doing his fucking other shit. I mean, somebody ought to send a private investigator after John and Morph Market and see if he's got like some secret extra thing going. Like, it turns out he's like half owner of Amazon on the side, and he's just like moonlighting as a Morph Market owner. The shit that I hear makes me laugh my fucking ass off.
My banners are coming because Morph Market is sponsoring Herps, and we're sponsoring Morph Market. So
I was glad to see that you guys got that thing handled and done.
Oh yeah, it was cool. John and I,
the joint efforts of two people that have the ability to literally drive massive amounts of traffic towards each other. Well,
and that's the thing is, okay. As you go back to the vendor thing, I wanted the show promoters to bring people in so that I could make money. Right? It's a business, right? But
you're only as good as us.
I was doing my own advertising for those shows that I was vending at, and I was advertising way more than the show promoters were. And so, and advertising changes constantly, and you hit these algorithm dips and stuff like that. So you can only throw so much money at the wall and target the right people, because you can bring in 50,000 people to a show, right? But are you bringing that many buyers in? And that's where there's no magic button. So that's what we're learning. We're trying to figure out, how do I get the people that are going to come in, they're actually going to spend money with my vendors so that my vendors stay happy, because that's what I'm happy with. So when you say I'm slipping, I'll never slip like that, because whenever you don't have a good show, and I've come to you personally and we've talked about it, I take it personally.
Oh, dude, I feel like I've let you down. Awful shows where I was like, dude, I cannot believe I gave up this weekend with my daughter.
Yeah.
And there's been circumstances where things didn't work out for you or for me in that scenario, and you've made it right to me.
Well, yeah, because
you've taken care of me in ways that no other vendor ever has, and ways that I don't ever expect even you to take care of ever again. But the fact that they were done, dude, it means a lot. It means a whole lot, especially when it's like, listen to the words that I have to tell you. This is why I think it went this way for me. And you're like, yeah, I see that. I completely see that. And I understand that. And I want you to, to do better with me and me to do better with you. And we walk away from it and we're like, wow, this is a really, really commendable thing that he did. And, dude, I'm telling you right now, Wayne would have been like, yeah, I just won't ask you back next year. And be like, what? Or NARBC. I don't know, dude. He's been pretty good with me too.
Yeah, Brian's a good guy.
But I mean, NARBC is NARBC. You pretty much gotta examine your own shortcomings if the show isn't on for you, because it is only twice a year, you know. But with these things, with you, we end up getting attached to the door that we see, and we expect that door to continue to come. And I think a lot of people find it way easy to blame you when the door doesn't come. When Saturday morning, I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. That New Orleans show was awful for foot traffic. It was terrible. It just seemed terrible. Now, it was a lot bigger of a room, and it was more spread out.
Oh, it was down. It was down probably 20% in attendance.
Yeah, but it was definitely down in attendance. Now, as far as buyers, some people did really well. Some people did really poorly. I did really poorly. And the last show, I did Slidell show. I did incredibly well, surprisingly well, compared to what I thought I would do. So it is what it is. What about Tampa? Well, Tampa's about to get a rinse, Raven. But other than the rinse that they're about to get, I mean, Tampa, what? That's a Repticon down there in Tampa, isn't it? I don't ever go to South Florida shows, ever. I would never go south of Daytona for a show unless I fucking live there. There's just no reason for me to go. Could use a Herp show in Indiana. I could use a good show in Indiana, period. But I mean, again, it's Indiana. You know, there's a lot of places that could use a Herp show. And, you know, of
we
course,
get that.
Josh Strange said, you know, yeah, you're correct, Bravo Zulu. Well, I mean, the thing is, though, is you could use a Herp show in Indiana, but can Indiana use a Herp show? That's the question. Because it's had its handful of shows, guys, including one of the biggest rack makers in the world having a show there. It didn't really fly all that well in Indy. I don't know how any of those places really go. But yeah, I mean, and I agree with Quirky here that there'd be a good YouTube short about the current financial state of affairs in the reptile industry. But Quirky, I got a feeling that we got a few more months of this financial state headed before us. And I think that Sean is well in tune for that and prepared for that, and hopefully just basically just pounding the pavement as well as I can, as it can be pounded for.
Yeah, we're actually going back to some. Yeah, we're going to be trying some new stuff. We're doing some, you know, we've been using Square for a long time, so we're doing some Square marketing stuff. And I mean, Facebook is still going to be the best ROI. It always has been. But the algorithms
Didn't you
change
say there was
constantly.
some issues with that though a few weeks ago?
Yeah,
with Facebook algorithms.
Yeah, there. It wasn't like whenever I'm setting my max budget, it's not spending the way I have it scaled right. It's kind of it's limiting how much it's spending, it seems to be. And I've been talking to them for a while about it because by now I have a Facebook concierge. So I mean,
you spent enough money.
I spend a lot of money on Facebook, but
yeah,
with the Instagram separating it, we're separate now because the way the algorithm still works is it's going to send your views to the lowest cost per click. And so what it's doing is it's sending them all to Instagram, but you're not targeting anybody at Instagram. It could be nationwide, and we don't want to do a nationwide ad.
Yeah, we discussed that about the Reptilian Nation shows this weekend. And
yeah, I don't see
they're
the point
getting huge numbers in the doors because of nationwide expo ads. And hey, guys, look, we used to do a show in Raleigh, North Carolina. For those of you guys on the East Coast that ever knew Tony Cueto, what was the name of Tony's shows? I don't even know if he had a name for Tony when Tony did shows. I mean, I know Alex had Gila Productions after he left Tony's employ. But Tony used to do a dog and pony show like this with camel rides and fucking, lions and tigers and bears and shit. And dude, you'd have this huge reptile show. Like tons of people would show and no one would buy anything.
Yeah.
Because they were just there to see free shit. It was just a free zoo. And then half the people were like, can I pet it? Can I touch it? I mean, of course, that's every fucking reptile show everywhere.
You're going to get that everywhere, yeah.
You're going to get that everywhere. But at that particular show that Tony threw, I really don't remember the name of Tony's shows. I don't think he had a name. Larry the Birdman. Yeah, well, I mean, that's Limey's Village. I mean, you know that stomp, that whole East Coast up and down the East Coast stomp. Most of them dudes know that shit from hitting those areas for venomous, like going up to Columbus or Columbia, South Carolina, and all that. Yeah, Columbia and White Plains and all those. But yeah, dude, that was something else. To go to that show, to drive like fucking 13 hours and literally have people walking by your table saying, ew, snakes, ew.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, this is a reptile show. You realize that, right? And they're like, oh, we're not here for that. We brought our grandchildren to go ride a camel. Like we thought we'd see all this stuff here, but I don't know why anybody would want to own it. And that's the kind of crowd that we got. So, and I'm not saying that that's what Reptilian Nation's getting either, but they're definitely getting crowds in the door by doing nationwide ad campaigns. So I don't know, dude. Like I got weird, like I'm an aquarium guy, Sean. So I got to tell you that I believe that while wasting your money and my money on nationwide ads might not be the best use of it, getting a bunch of motherfuckers in there that have no business being there isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Well, you want to balance though. You really want
the most impulse bought, region of the pet industry, period. I mean, it is the most easily impulse bought, especially if you're dealing with like fucking isopods and spiders and shit that don't need any care.
So let me ask you a question.
Dude.
If I have $5,000 to run an ad, just one ad for one show, would you rather me target the people in 100-mile radius, considering even the economy and gas prices, target 100-mile radius of that location or 200-mile radius of that location with very specific demographics posted, very specific wording, very specific keywords built into my ad. Reptile, reptile show, pet shop, lizard, snake, turtle, tortoise, all this stuff.
Sure.
How would you rather spend my money so that you make more money?
Was ultimately our money at the helm as well. So
yes,
having not had my finger on this button, I would totally say that I would probably rather the money spent on what is more of a sure thing.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm
like that's
okay
what I
with,
would say would be more of a sure thing, and the more sure thing would be the 100-mile radius with the keywords with the this and that. But how many of those people am I targeting that already fucking know that I've already been to every one of my shows is already have it?
That's true. So you have to bring in new people, and that's where the new ads come in. That's where the test ads come in to see where our target demographics coming from. But I'm perfectly okay with bringing less people in the door if they're spending more money with the vendors. I'm completely fine with that. That's not like I make my money at the door. I don't make any money off the vendors for tables. It helps me cover some of my expenses, right?
Oh yeah, it covers your basic expenses, or it gets you close to covering basic expenses.
I'm usually in the hole at every show when I open the door, right? So I'm looking at a cost per advertisement and how much I can actually afford to spend too. I don't have endless pockets, and that's what people don't understand is, hey, I have somebody say, well, why don't you put $100,000 in this show? You have $100,000 to fucking give me? I'd love to have $100,000 right now.
Okay, really quick, tell the viewer public that has no fucking clue what it costed you to get Herps bumped up to page 1 on Google in CO cost per month. What is the average CO cost per month getting yourself from page 50 fucking 8 to page 1 on Google? I wanted to say that was like $10,000 or $11,000 a month.
Well,
I could be wrong.
It wasn't quite that much. It was close to 4 to 5 though. But it was also the website was 30 grand and the SEO package for 2 years and all that shit. You know, it was like 30 grand total. Right. To get to that point, you know, and we were literally on page 56 or something like that when we started doing the SEO stuff. And now we're doing it by ourselves. That whole company went fucking haywire. So I'm in all kinds of fucking hell with my hosting company right now. But again, it's all work that we're doing. I didn't hire someone else. I mean, I had somebody build the website for me, just because I didn't have time. But I literally work on all of that myself. I don't have an outside company funding me, putting money in my pockets with a vested interest. I don't have people doing any of the legwork for me besides everybody that shares. That's the biggest help, is everybody sharing the events when they pop up and seeing the ads. But as far as studying the ads and what I'm doing and how the algorithms are doing, I'm researching that. I'm constantly doing that. All of our print advertising, I design all the logo. Like, I do all that shit myself.
Guys, how big is the slide out venue?
19,000, 18,000 square foot.
Okay, so 18,000 square foot venue. How many tables you squeeze in there?
240. Between 220 and 240.
And pre-COVID, I have seen upwards of probably 5,000 motherfuckers in there in a weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Maybe more than 5,000. Maybe a slightly proud of 5,000 people in there.
I think our biggest was close to 6 for a weekend.
Right, that's the one I'm talking about. The one right before COVID. Right before COVID. The show right before COVID, when I had the reefer guys there, when they were selling corals there, and I was selling
when I probably had fucking COVID at that show. Yep.
Yeah, when you probably had COVID at that show.
I probably had COVID at that
the month after that show. Yeah.
Yep.
That show was insane. Like these guys that go to reef shows, they go to MACNA and shit. They were like, this is fucking insane, dude. And all to bring me to this question: how much is a table? And that is the shocker, the clocker, and the overall motherfucker of this whole thing. Because the guys that I sent there to do a show with corals setting up behind me with a couple reef tanks, these dudes shared booths at, what do you charge for a table, bro? I think back then it was like $95. I don't know, what is it now?
It was $110. It was $110 for the first one. and then it
Right.
goes down from there.
Right.
So right now it's 125 for the first table, it's 95 for the second, and 75 for the third.
Right. And I
For eight.
pay like less than 350 for an end cap.
Yeah, for a
So
full
I
table.
pay less than the cost of one NARBC table for an entire end cap. Now I don't have pipe and drape, and I don't want pipe and drape.
I don't like
I
pipe
don't
and
give
drape.
a flying fuck about pipe and drape. The only time I want pipe and drape is when I have a greedy cocksucking neighbor with a double-sided banner. I bitched about that this last show. I was like, all right, guys, whoever around me's got double-sided banners. I took out my razor knife and I was like, point me. Where we at? Who's got the double-sided banner? Because I'm slicing your shit up, you greedy fuck. Because somewhere there's a guy set up behind you, and you are getting all of their credit.
Yep.
Everybody that buys from them thinks, I'm not coming to Arlington, crazy legs. Yeah, it's a little late, don't you think? Grady, didn't Arlington pass like this past weekend?
This past week.
Did you ask me this? What did you ask me this in advance? And it just got posted? Is this a lag? It's a hell of a fucking lag, bro. Grady, get your fucking internet checked. It's not this weekend coming, bro. You missed it. Yeah, exactly, Limey. 4 tables for that. Who could complain? I got so much real estate back there, Limey. You and I could have a fucking throwdown back there. We could have a wrestling match. It'll be sloppy. It'll be a mess. But yeah, I got tons of room behind my 4 tables and my 4-table end cap because I could never afford a 4-table end cap at NARBC. Not on the shit I sell now. Maybe one of those days I could have done it back in the day, but not now. But yeah, man. So like if we go over to, I'm going to share the screen now. You go to the Herps website and check it out. So you guys can go to HERPshow.net. That's your preferred domain name at the moment.
Yeah.
HERPshow.net, and go to the show dates and locations and check it out. The next one is coming up in old Waco, Texas, in Branch Davidian land. Yeah. That's I gotta wonder how good that show's gonna do. It's probably gonna do great now that I can't go to it.
Well, what's funny is Waco, when we first started doing Herps, we considered doing Waco. But Waco wasn't what it is now with all this, what's that fucking show on TV and shit? I don't remember. The Fixer Upper show or whatever. People that, dude, Waco has blown the fuck up.
Blown the fuck up.
It has blown the fuck up. People are moving to Waco in mass. So it's a big market.
No doubt. Lafayette, I'll see you there for the first time at a show of yours in Lafayette. So that'll be interesting because I've only done Repticons in Lafayette. Pearland, Austin, Slidell, Oklahoma City. So anybody who wants to come to a show in Louisiana, come to Slidell December 10th and 11th.
It's a great show.
Go see if you can get the fat man to come down here for that. You need to get his ass here for one.
Yeah, I talked to him on the phone the other day. I'm going to try to get him to the show.
Yeah.
He wants to come to New Orleans.
Longview. Yeah, he wants to do New Orleans, but just do it in do a Slidell show with him instead of a New Orleans show.
Yeah.
And then he can go hit the town because it's closer to the fucking city.
Yep.
Like, why would you not stay in Slidell? It's closer than driving away the fuck down the West Bank. Longview, Conroe, what the fuck else we got?
It goes all the 20.
And you quit Colorado, huh?
Yeah, that was tough, man. It was okay. So dealing with
you just went up there for the weed, but it's all right.
No, I haven't been to Colorado since the last show. No, we dealing with PACFO was a pain in the ass for one. But it kind of goes back to we were kind of filling a niche there because when COVID was happening, none of the shows in Denver were going on. We have a lot of friends in Colorado too, so we were doing the show there. We tried one in Colorado Springs, went okay. Pueblo was a rough market to try to get people to come to because nobody drives in Colorado. Like literally, 25 is a pain in the ass. So it's not like Texas where it's 4 hours to the fucking gas station. They won't drive 10 minutes. Like they won't fucking go from Colorado Springs to Pueblo. So pulling that traffic was really hard. The expenses were just killing everybody. Again, we had so many vendors that followed us to that show. So one, the other show, Reptilian Nation, was coming back in there. We didn't want to step on toes. So we wanted to get out at that point as well. But it was hurting our vendors, man. I mean, we were pulling okay crowds, but not enough to support that many vendors following us that far. And again, the expense was eating them alive.
Oh God, yeah, that's a hell of a long
So
ride and a hell of a lot of expense for
yeah,
overhead and everything
and
else, cost
and
wise.
so
Yeah,
we had a
sure.
lot of the big shops in Colorado also didn't really want to support us because we wouldn't give them exclusivity to set up 30 fucking tables at a show and sell supplies. I mean, like Andy's been with us since
Andy's your
2015.
guy. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
I mean, he's been
Southern
with us.
Reptile Supplies is your
Yeah.
guy, and Andy
So for him
Hine
coming,
is
him come,
not a bad guy, and he's
no,
done a lot of business, and he's done every fucking show you do, every
every,
single time, every
yeah,
single place.
yeah,
You gotta, your loyalty lies. I mean, I know you guys
yeah.
are letting me sell some supplies there because I'm going out of
Well,
business of
yeah.
supplies, but
Well, I don't like,
I'm not bringing in a trailer with a giant
exactly.
fucking truck and rolling out a goddamn mobile pet shop neither.
Well, here's the
You
thing
know?
too, is I don't have exclusivity. People can bring stuff, but why would I set up two setups that big would take up half the show, and then
Oh yeah,
where the
right.
reptiles going to go, you know?
Well, yeah.
So,
Or the hedgehogs or the fucking birds or some other
it's,
shit. But
we haven't seen
you
birds in a
did
while.
in fairness. Well, no, there hadn't been much birds. There hadn't been many.
No. We have a couple
Hadn't
people
been
that bring
many
birds every
birds.
once in a while.
Couple people bring birds, not very many.
I
It's
can't stand birds.
not anywhere near like a Rami show where bird people show up and it's like a fucking cockatiel breeder that has like 200
Yeah.
cages and shit.
No.
Oh, Marshall showed up at a Pomona show one time and Ramey had him next to a fucking bird dealer. And he said no one came to his table. He's like, dude,
No shit.
literally no one came.
Yeah.
He said it was fucking loud. It was everything was covered in dust and seed and feathers constantly. Everything was like he's constantly dusting off his displays and shit. And Rami gave him a choice of his tables for free at first show. He was like, your choice, whatever show you want, tell me where you want to be, and I'll put you in that spot for absolutely free for a show. Because honestly, bro, I really fucked you on that. Rami admitted he'd be like, bro, I really fucked you, Marshall. Like, it was really bad, bro. I'm really sorry. Like, I would really appreciate it if you would not stay away. So Cuddle Time says need to come back to Kansas City. So what do you have to say to that?
So that venue got sold out from under us. We had a contract for a pending show that was up. I think it was like we were like 3 months away from that show, and they sold the venue, and they canceled every contract.
Yeah.
And then so we only had one more place to go, which was the KCI Expo Center, but they were being ridiculous on the pricing and dates and stuff. And then Mickey had decided he was going into Kansas City. I mean, he's from Missouri, so
right. Yeah, and you and Mickey have a pretty good working relationship as well, which I like.
Yeah, we've always helped each other. We were actually going to do the Springfield show together. That was we were going to do that together, but we couldn't get on the right page, same page. Actually, Lori found that venue whenever she was trying to find venues for us. She found that venue and just said, here, and Mickey actually even asked me, hey, can I still do this show? I'm like, fuck yeah, do whatever you want, dude. Like, I don't care. But no, Mickey and I, we always try. We've always tried to help each other since the beginning. When he started doing shows, it was all, and that's what it should be about, honestly. But, but no, it's, there comes a point when, especially under today's circumstances where less is more, we get asked to go to places all the time. We get asked to go to cities and small towns all over the place. And we just say, look, this is the closest one to us.
Less is more. You got Tim over there grumbling, the motherfuckers in once a year. He's running 3 times a year.
The only shows that I think that actually can support 3 times a year are like Conroe and Slidell and Austin. Austin was just a fucking struggle until the last 2 years. And then we hit a sweet spot in the market where we're at in Austin, and it's been a fantastic show.
Well, you're very missed in Kansas City by Cuddle Time.
I love that. I love Kansas City, and that's where Lori's from, and her family's still there. So we love that place, and it was a good show. I think it was one of Josh.
Thanks, Cuddle Time. Thanks for saying that.
I think it was one of Josh Jackie's first shows vending. Actually, was with us. It's the first time I met Josh. And so there's a lot of people that have asked us to go back there.
He's coming on the show. I got to get him on in October. Yeah.
Josh and his family are awesome.
Yeah, he's always been a
wife, his
cool guy.
kids.
I've always
Yep.
talked to him at shows and stuff over the years and
Yeah.
through the ball python rigmarole. And I think he's got a few interesting things to say. I mean, he piped up on this ball python feeding thing because all these ball python bros now have this feeding code, bro, that you have to feed your snakes like you feed your children. You have to feed your snakes 3 times a day. If you do not feed your snake. Oh, dude, these guys are like, feed your for sale inventory like your holdback inventory, or else you're not a good ball python breeder. So, yeah, Josh Shockey was like all on the whole feeding thing. So I told him, I was like, yeah, it'd be good to have you on to talk shit about this whole thing with these fucking people and tell me what you think about it. Because to be totally honest with you, I was always a big shop. I'm not a big shop now. But I was always a big shop, and a big shop is never going to feed its for sale inventory like its holdback inventory. I'm sorry. It's just not going to do it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to have Josh Shockey on and talk about that. And I'd like to bullshit with him about crypto and stuff too, because
do you remember the first New Orleans show?
I vaguely remember the first New Orleans show. I don't even remember when it was, to be honest. I mean, I know I did it, right? I mean, I'm sure I did every one of them.
Yeah, it was 20.
I missed a couple New Orleans shows actually here.
I think it was
Fish Shop, I think
2017 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
Our very
you did that
show,
before you did Slidell, no?
Yeah, we didn't have Slidell till 2019.
Right, because the New Orleans show was also a Gila production show.
Yeah, it used to be a Gila show.
Alex Smith? No, not Smith.
I got a hold of them right before that show, actually, and talked to them about everything.
Well, Alex's health went downhill right around the time you started your shit. And whenever you were like, oh, I think I'm going to take this center, I think I might go where Alex is because Alex doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Or he couldn't. He couldn't.
Well, I think they went to North Carolina, opened a bakery or something.
Yeah. Yeah. They bowed out of the show circuit industry completely.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is before Bob's Balls and David and shit. They were vending that show, but David had fucking blue tongues.
Right.
And I wish he had, oh my God, he had so many fucking blue tongues. But yeah, David Levinson.
Yeah, Dave Levinson. Yeah, Levinson had a lot of blue tongues and stuff.
Crazy ass Levinson and Bob Vu were at that very first show. Right. And now Bob probably won't even answer my calls, but I'm in a crypto group with Bob.
Will answer your calls.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with you. I know.
Bob better answer your calls because then Bob won't answer my calls and I won't be able to get him on this podcast. But like I was saying to you earlier before we started, Ozzy's coming on the fucking Bullshit podcast on the 14th of October, guys. So cool. Y'all get ready for that shit. Ready for a good big ball python blowout since Mark Mandick's fucking internet sucks ass in Canada and Mr. Canada Dry. And did you see that Mark Mandick interview of mine at all, bro, when he was wearing a fucking orange shirt, made him look like he was goddamn on death row? It was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous, dude. You couldn't even make that shit up. Then I saw a guy posted a photograph from the Canadian Reptile Breeders Expo last weekend or whatever, and Mark standing in front of a table wearing that fucking orange shirt.
Same shirt.
He's attached to that fucking orange shirt. It's an orange Magellan fishing shirt. But the dude looks like he's trust me, the dude looks like he's fucking on death row. Like, there's no doubt in my mind the dude looks unbelievably convicted in this fucking episode. I'm even going to go over and find it just to show you what I mean, because it's obscene. And he got cut off, dude. We're having a great interview and the dude got completely cut off. He goes in his house to see if his internet will work better. Look at this motherfucker. Look at his fucking outfit.
Yeah, he looks like he's
sitting in a dark room, bro. It's like I'm on Confessions of a Serial Killer. It's like I'm hosting a new Netflix show with the Canadian serial killer extraordinaire.
Exactly what it looks like.
Dude, is it ridiculous? Like the earlier part of the show, he's sitting in the yard. It doesn't look so bad. Then he moves into the house and everybody's like, Mark, it looks like you just got off fucking death row, bro. This shit is ridiculous. Death row confessions. Confessions of a ball python killer. Mark, man.
That's funny.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I can't wait to do another show with this fucking guy and get him back. But, Ozzy's like his cohort, and they did a show together for me years ago.
Yeah, Ozzy should be a good show.
Ozzy should be fun, you know, but especially because we go way back,
Yeah.
so far back on the ball python business front. It'd be interesting. But you guys need to go to HERPshow.net and see if there's any shows coming near you to see this great family of folks. We might be at one of them. I was this week, I'm telling you, I was about to say, dude, can you hook me up a Waco? And then my friend was like, dude, Saturday we got that reef show, and I cannot blow off that reef show because that reef show is something I've been wanting to do just to bring some plastic stuff, you know, just stuff. Me and my buddy are doing it with 3D print and laser stuff. It should be fun. But yeah, man, Lafayette, I will be there since you told me I have tables now.
Yeah, you notice that we're going back to Lake Charles too.
Oh, okay. So that's finally happening again. Okay.
Yeah. They opened
why did we stop going to Lake Charles? Did we just give it a break for a while, or did the venue get fucked?
Two hurricanes destroyed the building. Remember?
I didn't remember exactly.
Yeah.
I remember I haven't been back to Lake Charles since I sold my collection. It was just
too
far to go from the fish
two
store,
hurricanes that hit Lake Charles back to back basically ripped the whole roof off.
Back to Lake Charles this coming year.
Yeah.
That was a great show, but not until surprisingly good show. I mean, I definitely did better in my earlier days in Lake Charles and my later days in Lake Charles, but that doesn't mean that it's still not a good show and that you have to build up an economy because it's such a weird place. Like there's a lot of places like that, I think, in the South though, where there's whatever. Yeah.
There are.
Limey said I got Alex so trash one night. I still have the card he left on my table the next day. Limey, that's not thanking him for any extra things, is it? I remember those boys weren't very straight. But yeah, thanks a lot for having me all these years at these great shows, dude. And then the HERPshop. So what made your insane ass in the last few minutes that we have together here? Because I like to round these out around 2 hours or so. In the last few minutes, tell me about the HERPshop and tell me about like your lifelong dream to open a retail store, or only because you had somebody that was willing to manage it so that you didn't have to spend every waking fucking minute in it.
That helps. But before we actually even did the shows, I was working on the shop. I was scouting locations. I was trying, but I just didn't quite have the capital to put together. And I was at NERBC show vending in Arlington, and this guy walks up to me and hands me this flyer for this new reptile shop opening up in Dallas called DFW Reptarium. And I was like, well, fuck, there goes my idea, you know? So it wasn't the right time. I didn't have the money. And so we moved to Bryan. My girls are going to college. They're going to be going to A&M. And so my wife graduated from here. We got the fuck out of Dallas. We moved out in the middle of the country. I'm on acreage out here, and slower pace of life here, but I'm always fucking running, right? And we started doing the show in Bryan, and the pet stores here are all the big box stores, and they're really shitty, to be honest. They're worse than normal shitty. And so I was like, fuck it. I had some money, like I said, from some crypto investments earlier in the year, and decided to put it out there and try to open a shop, you know? And tomorrow will be 1 year. And it's been great. But yeah, having a staff and a manager that I can trust to run the shop like I would want it to run is absolutely invaluable.
And absolutely Aaron, you are a absolutely spoiled motherfucker who has nothing to say to me, really.
I am spoiled with that.
I mean, Jesus, dude, that is something we could all hope for.
Well, we
at
just
this
finished
point in time. I couldn't. I don't think I could have faith in anybody again.
It's hard.
The couple people that I've put faith in with something like that I have done with the fish shop, I could not do it.
You know, but even
it doesn't matter because it's over for me too. So
even with you know a friend that I've had is that long running my shop, we had our issues. We worked through it and got it fucking straightened out. And we just finished construction on expanding another 1,400 square foot. So we're putting all that together.
It's just my fucking nightmarish luck that day I end up doing the next thing. That guy comes to me. He's like, you know, I gotta leave and I gotta go take care of my sick mom or somebody. It's got to be some fucking story that I can't be like, but you promised me that you would be here with me through thick and thin. You know, because I've done that with a couple of them. I've been,
Yeah.
you promised me that you'd be there through thick and thin. Yeah, and they've been like, yeah, you fuck you. And I'm like, well, fuck, I didn't think of that. Fuck, I didn't think of this. Shit, I thought it was all gonna work out a better way. Fuck. Oh well. Oh well. But yeah, so you got James Bergoli
Yep.
over there helping you out.
But the thing is
hims who can't stay still for a fucking camera. Like, get that
No.
man a wheelchair to sit in.
Yeah.
And don't let him touch the wheels. Get him a regular chair to sit in and do videos. Because the live feeding with the this and the that. Like, I love live feeds from stores. I watch them all. And I'm like watching it, and I'm watching like the fucking the guy from the car dealership, the blow up guy that fucking folds over and flop. I'm watching that guy. You know, James definitely doesn't stay still for a camera. So if you try to get a picture of the manager or owner, I mean the almost owner of HERPshop, he will be very elusive for photographs.
Well,
here's bob and weave.
The one thing that we do differently at the shop, though, is that we only buy from our vendors. We don't buy any animals wholesale, import stuff.
And I love that. Because you have a reptile show, you actually have the ultimate ability to fucking fill your store with inventory.
Absolutely.
Another fuck you from me to you. Well, and the ability to be able to just be like, oh, I like that, pluck. Oh, I like this, pluck. Oh, this looks good. Oh, you can't pay me for your tables? Oh, I'll take it in there. You know? Oh, yeah, send me some cricket. Hey, Debbie, can't pay me? It's fine. Just tell Clay to send some crickets. Yeah. Oh yeah, you got the hell of a spot, bro. You're hooked up for the hookup. I mean, there's no doubt.
Well, that's probably the only reason that it works so well too, because I know where the animals come from, and we do buy our crickets from Debbie. We get them from Gans, and we do all of our shipping. We don't sell online at all right now. I know you said something about.
I think you should. I mean, you definitely should tell James when he's bored, if he's not busy. He's never. Like y'all are pretty busy. Seems like he's never bored. Pretty busy.
He's never bored. We're always
bored. And you're not busy. Then put the inventory up. But I mean,
it's something we're working towards. But we want to get the other side opened up and get it going right first.
Yeah, but also in the grand scheme of things, maybe don't put it up, because you get all your inventory from your reptile store people.
I don't want to compete.
You go put it up online, and you're competing with them with their own animals against them that they sold you at a discount. Which technically, I don't think any of us mind. I think all of us would rather sell you the animal.
I've never asked for a discount on animals either. Retail's a whole different world, and you know this just like I do.
Right.
I don't have to go into.
But people are not like giving you full fucking price. I mean, I'm sure that most of your vendors are more than happy to give you a fantastic wholesale price.
Absolutely, they do. But it's not something I ask for.
Right.
And I've told people flat out that's too fucking low, and this is what I should pay you for it. But that's just in my nature, I guess. But that's what I do have. Without that, I don't think it would work, because I don't want to go through other people that I don't know. I can trust where I get these animals from. And then I can stand behind them when I'm selling them, if I'm selling something to somebody, I know for a fact, this is where it came from. And if there's any problems, I can go right back to that person and say, hey, this is what's going on,
For sure.
It's
definitely a treasure trove, a fucking cornucopia of options for you as a store owner to have your own reptile shows weekly to pick from to fill your store with inventory.
And
it only makes sense, it only makes sense. And at that point, you are also a spoiled fucking prick when it comes to getting great deals on supplies, because then you had guys like Andy in your corner to help you with Central Garden and Pet and other accounts, Hagen and other accounts, or ZoomEd or whoever else. Help you with all these other accounts from these great people, so that you could bring all of this wonderful stuff into your store. So the people of College Station, Texas are very lucky to have you as a reptile retailer, given the fact that there are very few reptile retailers in the world that can offer the services you offer. So I'm thoroughly fucking impressed with all of that. I don't know that I would have opted to open a retail store after owning a reptile show circuit, though. I would have probably opted for more time off. But that's just
sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, I guess. Or, yeah.
Because now, we open another shop with my wife's shop, so it's like,
Right. So then let's close it out on that. Let's close it out on the Tipsy Trinket.
Yeah.
Mrs. Sean Gray's business. Since
No,
Mr.
it's
Lori Gibson runs this.
Yeah, it's Lori Gibson's business.
Yeah. Oh, this is definitely, they're both Lori Gibson's businesses. I mean, we know that you're just the one that wears the fucking green socks.
Yeah.
You're just the one that wears the green Dr. Seuss socks.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, man. That's it. Time off. He never stops. He doesn't stop. And like in 2019, before you quit Colorado, how many shows were you guys doing in a year? It was like what, 32?
32, I think. Yeah.
33 shows a year. Dude, what the fuck, man? Now, thankfully, y'all weren't doing crazy shit like splitting up your crew to do 2 shows in 2 cities on the same weekend, because that would have just been a disaster.
No. And we only do 2 shows in most areas per year, except for like I said,
Slidell and Conroe, and the areas that Conroe, Austin, and Slidell.
Everything else is only twice a year.
Right. Yeah. It can support it, and everything else, it's only twice a year. And that's fabulous. So the Tipsy Trinket, after all the years of Lori following suit with the reptile thing and everything else, she decided that she wanted to own a pub. That's it. Her own little version of pub, to have all her friends pub crawl in. All the women of Herps have pub crawled in the Tipsy Trinket. So at this point, what was the motivation behind it? She just, I mean, I know you guys are very active in the community there, and
that's it too. Is we're big chamber members, and the downtown in Bryan's been revitalized. It was a place you used to not go to, and now it's getting big, and it was one of those little niche things that, open up a wine bar, and we expanded and added a patio we have all the games on, NFL games on Sunday and Saturday, all the college. We're in fucking Texas A&M, so we have to show the college games, so we have to show the Aggie games. She's an Aggie, so it's Aggie owned and operated, and it's been fun. It's a lot of work. Obviously, it's still a lot of work, and she's having her own issues with staff too, and working that shit out. But I mean, it was her dream, and she's followed me to the ends of the earth. Honestly, like, she's done so much and sacrificed so much to help me fulfill what I wanted to do. She quit her job. She had a fucking cush job. She sat at home, and she was a medical recruiter, and she was a VP of a medical recruiting company actually when she quit, and decided to do this with me full time. And it really wouldn't be where it's at 100% without her. Like her keeping everything on track and organized on vendors' asses about everything. And making sure everybody's confirmed, and doing these dates and booking hotel rooms for people. Like, there's so much.
That's a little far, but okay.
It is. I mean,
but she puts the work in, though. I mean, she wants it to work. Mm-hmm. She wants it to fly.
Yeah. So when she said she wanted her own place, we didn't hesitate. That's what we're doing.
Well, that's the right guy to be. That's the right guy to be. Doug Knacker's out there saying, "Look at that, happy wife, happy life." That's how that works out. Yeah. That's definitely how that works out. So she's been so sweet to me, and even when I'm not that sweet.
No, she's always sweet. And we love seeing Bo when she comes to the shows too. She gets excited.
Oh yeah, I know she gets a kick out of seeing little old Bo. And Bo loves coming to your shows too. I mean, so that Slidell show is really the only show that my daughter really routinely gets to go to, just because she doesn't really travel with me. Of course, well, fuck, I don't even travel with me. Lately, this Lafayette show is the furthest away from home show I'll be going to since 4 years.
Yeah.
Look what Limey heard. Pub? That was Limey. Pub? Did you say pub? Yeah. Well, he's British, so, and he fancies a pub.
Yeah, we got some good shit there.
And her shop's amazing, and her shop is also filled with a bunch of shit that's made by Herps people.
Exactly. All the retail stuff that we have is made by vendors. Yeah.
Retail jewelry and
soaps art, and lotions and art, and all kinds
lotions, of art, jewelry, engraved goods, all that stuff. So you guys got, you got Bryan College Station by storm. You definitely have the bulk of the rest of the reptile industry in the Gulf South area pretty much on lock in the show scene. I don't know what's next for you other than just doing what you're doing, maintaining what you're doing, and
Doing it better.
finding a little bit of doing it better. Doing it
No,
better to make me more money. Yeah, great. Do that. Do that. Do better to make me more money. Do better. Do better to take more time out for yourselves and your family. You guys are beautiful. You guys.
That's part of this, man. We want to leave this. We want to leave a legacy for our kids. You know, we want our family. We want this to be a family-run business. That's what we do.
The fact that I have absolutely no doubt that along the way you've also had some issues in relationships amongst yourselves that you've worked through, because the stress of building an operation like this, guys, is not to be taken lightly. I mean, I couldn't even build one company with a woman without her leaving and eventually causing me serious fucking strife, much less the women throughout the years of my business never, ever, ever really jiving with me and making it into a machine. And I think that the Gray Gibson union has been a machine, and it's been a machine that I have admired watching grow for the last 7 years, 8 years of shows, going on 8 years of shows, which I think would be is fantastic to say. And there it is. Limey said I'd work a Herp show after watching this. And honestly, Limey, I can tell you right now, dude, if you have the ability to get down to one of his shows, try to pick it a good one, try to like ask us, wait, man, which one should I do? Don't just go fucking like, I'm going to do a New Orleans show because it's called New Orleans. Yeah, no, do a Slidell show because it's closer to the city than the actual other show is, and it's better. But yeah, definitely, Corey says the hangouts alone are worth it. The family hangouts alone on Saturday nights. I know here a lot of times it's at the Catfish Place at Middendorf's and Slidell after the show.
We're going back to Blind Tiger this time.
Are you going back to TBT's? Because that's a better hangout place. I personally fucking hate the food at TBT's. I don't understand how they're in business anywhere that there's not beach volleyball and a fucking I just think it's a shitty fucking business model, but it is a place for people to hang out in an open air environment.
Yeah. Live music, they have good drinks.
Yeah. Live music, good drinks, but I mean, it's drinks, bro. Like you come in a bottle, you fucking mix them up yourself. Bravo Zulu says, yes, Blind Tiger. Yeah. What? Because what? They had a Blind Tiger in fucking Louisiana when you were stationed there? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But no, I see these TBTs everywhere now, and I'm like, I don't understand how the fuck. Has to be an end cap. 4 tables. I don't bring shit. Yeah, right. I don't bring shit. Yeah, that's right. I don't eat solids. That's right. He doesn't eat solids. He only eats liquids. That's right.
Yeah, come to a Slidell show.
Come to a Slidell show for sure. That'll be it. The TBTs will be it. And maybe then I can actually park and come and hang out.
Yeah, no shit.
Because you guys always used to go to that other place and it just doesn't have any parking. And every time I try to go and hang out.
Oh, Phil's? Like, you can't even get into Phil's. Yeah, we go there Thursday night with Debbie and Bill now when we get in town. They come in early, so Debbie and Bill and I go to fucking Phil's on Thursday night.
Oh man. Only place to get half decent food in Shreveport, TBT. And it's the shittiest food in Covington, Eileen. So when you come back to Louisiana, if you come down to the southeastern part, then hit me up and we'll go eat some real food because I can't eat that shit. I went there.
Sean knows a place. I was
like, what the fuck? Yeah, the place I go to is pretty good.
It's fucking legit.
What's crazy though is since COVID, Ed that managed that restaurant since the 2003 when they opened, he quit. And,
no shit.
Yeah, he quit. But his wife took it over, and she's not doing a bad job, but it's definitely different. And I went for my birthday after the whole COVID thing went on. My daughter asked me if I wanted to go there to eat, and I was like, "Of course, it sounds great. Let's go there. We always go there." And I go, and I literally take one bite of the food, and I was like, "Hey, is Ed still here?" And the dude was like, "No." And I'm like told you, he was like, are you fucking kidding me? From one bite of crawfish, the voodoo rolls, those crawfish egg roll things, one bite of that, I was like, is Ed still here? And Brandon was like, no, bro, He's not.
As long as they don't fuck up that redfish, I'm good.
No, that
shit's
redfish
good.
is still a good. That redfish
shit.
is still a great meal. It's still a special that's not on the menu. That's there every week. It's just what's there every week. But look, man, thanks a lot for doing the show.
No, I love you, brother.
I'll only keep you for just a minute longer. Let me close this out with these folks, and we'll
thanks
do
for
a little
everybody that was in the chat
thing. And yeah, guys, I'm gonna let Sean go after 2 hours and 10 because he's a busy motherfucker, and I'm sure he's got something to do tomorrow. Hopefully he wakes up and advertises for the next reptile show that I'm going to be a vendor at. He's figuring that out. But thanks a lot for doing the show. I always wanted to have you on the old stuff before. I'm kind of glad that we didn't, and we waited for this newer thing.
I was on the old bullshit.
Did we do an old one? We did do an old one. That's right. We did do an old one. Yeah, I interviewed you at a show.
Yeah,
that was right.
Yep.
That's right. I forgot I even released those. So many things are like a vague memory, but this is better anyway. Anyway, I'm sure everybody.
It's all good.
It's better than not dealing with that angry old me, fucking all depressed and stupid and shit. But yeah, everybody, thanks to Sean Gray of HERPshop, HERPshow.net, and I will see you soon in a month. Yeah, about a month, a little bit more than a month. But yeah, hang tight, please, for me in the chat here, and I'll get back with you in just a minute. All right?
Yep.
All right, brother. Thanks again.
Thanks, bro.
All right. Well, everybody, that's one guy I could definitely go on and on with because he's got so much shit going on. I don't really know. I pretty much got to everything he's got going on. I don't really know what else he's got going on because he doesn't have much time for anything else. But let's see. What do we have to show for the next group of bullshit shows coming up on this here shit show? We are going to go to the video section, to the upcoming live streams, to show you that we have upcoming Mr. Ron Heisenberg, BBM Reptiles. That's not his real name, and we're going to get to his real name on the show. But for some reason, he chose the rip-off Walter White as his way of making it in the ball python scene. But quite a few of my friends and subscribers and sponsors and stuff have said, get this fucking guy on because he's a riot. And I do believe it'll be fun to talk about keeping and breeding ball pythons in Puerto Rico with Mr. Ron Heisenberg, or whatever your real name is. And then after that, the next off-topic Tuesday, next Tuesday, a week from today, Mr. Chris Woodcock of Venom Life and Get Hooked, and a retired fire chief who's probably got a lot of great, colorful stories and things to share about his time in this whole fucked up, shitty game. And Ozzy on the 14th. And beyond those two dates, guys, it's wide open for your suggestions. I would love for you to hit me up in DMs and PMs and FMs and AMs and whatever other M's there are these days through social media, and tell me who the fuck you would like to be down on this shit sometime soon. I mean, all I know is next week, this motherfucker right here that ran into burning buildings and saved babies and shit and kittens from trees too. I'm sure that's probably not just a thing. That probably is a real firefighter thing. Or maybe like got incredibly fat people out of bathtubs and stuff like that. That's also a firefighter thing, not just the glory of fighting fires. But this motherfucker right here, Chris, if you pick up any of this, you just can't have, you have to go after Nick Mutton, Mike Stefani, Jake Klotz, and Sean Gray. I hope you're rehearsing your bullshit right now, because a week from now, you have heat coming at you to live up to these motherfuckers that have just preceded you on the Off Topic Tuesday. And are you guys having too much fun on Off Topic Tuesday? Because I am, and I need to get to, that's why I need to get to this Ozzy guy. Who is this Ozzy guy? Is the guy that's going to make the Bullshit podcast ring with ball python people. Have you noticed my subscriber count has virtually stopped growing? Because I'm featuring other shit that's not ball pythons. So I'm coming at you guys with some serious ball python guests. So hit up Kyle Hoffman. I hit him up and tell him you want to hear him on this. Casey Lazick, hit him up and tell him you want to hear him some fucking place that's not this. whether it be on a Friday about ball pythons or on a Tuesday about everything else he's done. There's a bunch of people. And I don't have to interview brand new newbie novices, even though I want to get to some of those brand new newbie novices here pretty soon. I'm going to start with some Canadian ones that are building trailers to go be like tiny houses to go to reptile shows with, so that they don't have to get hotel rooms because they're too good for that or too cheap for that or something. I'm not really sure what really makes you want to sleep in your trailer that your stinky reptiles just got brought to a reptile show in, but I want to talk about it. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. It's not just a Canadian thing, because the last time I was at one of Sean Gray's shows, I heard this trailer making noise in the parking lot in the back of the show, and it turned out there was a whole family sleeping in it, motherfucker. And I looked at that guy and I was like, I thought you were weird for a minute. Now you're the only smart motherfucker here. You're the only one here that's got it figured out. So on that note, I hope to see you guys back here Friday for Ron Heisenberg, BBM Reptiles, coming on Ballsh. All right, guys, that'll be enough of this shit. Let's get the fuck out of here. Good night.